Hey everyone, welcome to FanFic Canon. Thanks for hitting play. I'm thrilled to bring this fan-made story to life for you. If you enjoy the ride and want more narrated fanfics, smash, subscribe, and tap the bell so you never miss an episode. And if you want audiobook of a novel of your choice, join my Patreon. Request any title that's freely available online, and I'll produce a full narration just for you. Now, let's dive into today's adventure.
At this moment, Zheng finally understood why that man had suddenly shown up and started talking about family. It was never about blood. It was about greed. Ego had come for his power, and he still had the nerve to wrap it in a father's excuse, like Zheng was some clueless kid who'd fall for it. That disgust hit deeper than anger. In all these years, Zheng had never hated someone this much. In his eyes, Ego was already a dead man. Zheng lifted his gaze. Do you remember where his planet is? I remember. The king of conquerors answered immediately, his expression turning serious. But there's something wrong with that planet. It feels weird. Zheng voice was cold and steady. It doesn't matter. Take me there. Before leaving Earth, he checked his integration progress with King Arthur one more time. Just like Siegfried's card, it stopped at 90%. No matter how hard he pushed, it wouldn't go further. 2 heroic spirits were now layered into his body. His physical strength, reflexes, and resistance had climbed again, but the attributes didn't stack like simple math. If Siegfried's luck was E and King Arthur's luck was B, Zheng didn't get E plus B. He inherited the higher one. The better one wins. Meaning if he wanted higher overall attribute levels, there was only one path forward: integrate stronger heroic spirits. And because both integrations were only at 90%, he wasn't even using their full power yet. Only a portion, but even that portion was terrifying. His current abilities were strength, A, endurance, A, agility, B, mana, B, noble phantasm, EX, sword of promised victory, noble phantasm, B+, armor of the dragon. This level was already close to what most 5-star heroic spirits could reach. And unlike many, he held 2 noble phantasms in his hands. Against ordinary heroic spirits, as long as they weren't at the crown level, Zheng could fight head-on. But Ego? The king of conquerors had said Ego's power was far above his own, so high it made him feel helpless, like try and fight a storm with bare hands. If even the Conqueror King couldn't resist, then Zheng couldn't afford pride. This time, he wouldn't clash. He would kill. Zheng opened his card library. His eyes moved across one heroic spirit after another, but his hand didn't hesitate for long. Finally, he chose the most suitable card for one purpose: the Old Man of the Mountain, an assassin wearing a skull mask, a legend spoken in whispers, an abyss where witnesses never return. If Ego was truly untouchable in a direct fight, then assassination was the cleanest answer. The moment the card equipped, Zheng entire outfit changed. The ancient warrior's clothing wrapped around like a curse, heavy with death and omen. A skull mask covered his face. And for the first time in a long time, Zheng felt it. That pressure, that presence, the feeling of being overwritten. The Old Man of the Mountain's will was too fierce, too absolute. It didn't merge gently. It dominated. Zheng heartbeat became quiet. His breathing became quiet. But inside his chest, his mind was filling with one single thought. Kill. Not anger. Not revenge. Not emotion. Just murder, pure and sharp. The king of conquerors watched silently from the side. He could clearly see it. Zheng aura had become contradictory. So thin it was nearly invisible, like he could vanish from your senses if you blinked. Yet, the moment you noticed him, a chilling, killing intent would slam into your nerves, like a blade held against your throat. Perfect concealment. Perfect death. The Conqueror King grinned, completely unbothered. Master, you look good like this. Even with that gloomy, terrifying presence, Zheng still couldn't shake the Conqueror King's cheerful confidence. Zheng only replied with one word: go. His voice was already low, but behind the skull mask it sounded even colder, deeper, like it came from a grave. The king of conquerors summoned the wheel of divine power. A storm of magical energy roared to life, and the two shot upward from the earth, breaking through the atmosphere and entering space like it was nothing. Heroic spirits existed with the support of magic. As long as magic flowed, even the vacuum of the universe couldn't stop them. The Conqueror King felt no different from when he stood on the ground, and Zheng felt the same. His body had long been reshaped by continuous integration. He didn't need food. He didn't need water. With magic, he could survive. With magic, he could move. He could adapt to space as naturally as breathing. The wheel of divine power crossed the dark sea of stars at terrifying speed. Not kilometers. Not thousands of kilometers. It moved as if distance itself didn't matter. And then, not long after, they arrived. Master. The Conqueror King pointed ahead. That planet. Zheng followed his gaze. A planet floated in the distance, wrapped in brilliant color like a jewel in the void. From far away, it looked like paradise. Beautiful, dreamlike, a world that promised peace. A world that made you believe nothing ugly could exist inside it. But Zheng eyes didn't soften. He didn't admire it. He didn't respect it. He only stared at it like a coffin waiting to be opened. I know. In the next instant, Zheng disappeared. No sound, no trail, no warning. One moment, he stood near the wheel of divine power, and the next, the universe itself couldn't tell where he went. The Conqueror King's smile faded slightly. He stayed behind, watching that shining planet. Watching it, like a general watching the battlefield before the first arrow is fired. Meanwhile, on Ego's planet, a completely different scene was unfolding. Star-Lord and his team had just arrived. The moment his boot stepped onto the surface, he froze. The sky was vibrant. The landscape looked unreal. The beauty of it was like a carefully painted dream. It didn't feel like a place nature created. It felt like a place someone designed. And standing beside him, Ego looked pleased, proud, like a king showing off his palace. He spread his arms wide, as if welcoming a child home. Welcome to your home planet. Then Ego turned, smiling warmly at him. My son. Star-Lord's eyes widened as the planet responded around them. Strange, breathtaking scenes began to unfold one after another, pulling his attention in every direction. It was too much, too fast, too perfect. Ego stepped closer and gently patted Star-Lord's shoulder like a loving father. My son, don't worry. His voice was soft. His smile was gentle, but something about it felt heavy, like a trap wrapped in silk. I'll let you experience the beauty of this planet soon. And far away, hidden in the air like death itself, Zheng watched it all with silent eyes behind the skull mask. Not a single trace of emotion, only a decision. Ego's beautiful planet was about to become his grave. Zheng stepped onto Ego's planet, and the moment his boots touched the soil, he understood the truth. This planet wasn't just a base. It was Ego himself. The ground beneath his feet was Ego's flesh. The wind moving through the forest was Ego's breath. Every tree, every root, every vein of energy running through the earth was part of a living body. If Ego wanted to, he could sense everything on this world. A normal person would have been exposed the instant they arrived. But Zheng wasn't normal. Almost every true assassin knows how to erase their presence. And the old man of the mountain was a type of existence that made hiding feel like an instinct, like breathing. Even as a crowned heroic spirit, his skills and noble phantasms were terrifyingly high profile. Yet his concealment was perfect, not because he tried hard, but because that was simply who he was. From the moment Zheng landed, his presence changed. It didn't vanish. It merged. It blended into the planet, like a drop of water sinking into the ocean. Now, even if someone walked right past him, they wouldn't feel anything. Not a heartbeat, not a breath, not a shadow. Even Ego, the master of this planet, couldn't detect him. Zheng moved through the forest with calm, almost lazy posture, like he wasn't walking into the enemy's territory. like he was strolling through his own garden. He studied the environment as he walked. The flowers, plants, and trees here were all species he had never seen before. They were strange, yet beautiful. Every leaf looked carefully crafted. Every branch curved like an artist had shaped it by hand. This world didn't feel natural. It felt designed. And with the old man of the mountain's ability flowing through his senses, Zheng Bin's perception was magnified to an absurd degree. He had enhanced perception before when equipping other heroic spirits. But this was different. This wasn't sharper senses. This was absolute awareness. He could see every detail, every ripple of wind, every shift of soil, every tiny movement in the ecosystem. Zheng Bin crouched down, pressed his fingers into the mud, and closed his eyes for a moment. The earth spoke back, not in words, but in experience, in instinct, in the silent knowledge that only a true assassin could possess. He knew where ego was. Zheng Bin rose and began walking in that direction, unhurried. It was the first time he'd felt this calm before a battle. No tension, no excitement, no fear, because to the old man of the mountain, assassination wasn't a fight. It was a task. Simple, clean, guaranteed. He wouldn't fail. He couldn't fail. Soon, Zheng Bin reached the edge of a garden, and just as he expected, ego was there. Not alone. A handsome young man stood with him. The two of them were playing, tossing a glowing blue energy ball back and forth like it was some harmless game. Zheng Bin stayed hidden in the tree not far away. His eyes narrowed behind the skull mask. That middle-aged man was the same one he had seen on Earth, the one who had smiled like a father while hiding the hunger of a predator. The disgust surged through Zheng Bin instantly, hot, violent, uncontrollable, and for a split second, his own personality pushed past the old man of the mountain's cold discipline. That was a fatal mistake. For the old man of the mountain, perfect concealment required a single condition, a calm heart. No ripples, no waves, no emotion. But Zheng Bin's hatred shook that stillness. And the moment it happened, his presence leaked. Ego's head snapped up. His voice hit the air like thunder. "Who's there?" Zheng Bin retreated immediately, fast, silent, precise. But this wasn't just any battlefield. This entire planet was Ego's body, and Ego's control over was absolute. The trees near Zheng Bin twisted violently, bending like arms reaching to grab him. From the ground, massive blue tentacles surged upward, thick with energy, stabbing and sweeping toward him like spears. And in that instant, Ego felt it. That aura, that energy, the power that had haunted him for who knows how long. Before, someone carrying a similar energy had come to his planet. The moment Ego saw that man, he knew it. This would be a perfect harvest. And when he drained that power, he felt something he hadn't felt in over 1,000,000 years. Growth. His strength increased. Ego had almost gone mad with joy. Immediately, he activated the energy seeds he had planted across countless worlds, searching for more, searching for the same kind of power. And finally, he found it. Earth. Zheng Bin. In truth, Ego had already been lurking there for a while before showing himself. Watching, measuring, confirming, and what he saw made him certain. Zheng Bin wasn't just strong. He was on the edge of godhood, but Earth was far from Ego's planet. Too far. His control would weaken at that distance. If he fought Zheng Bin head-on on Earth, he would probably lose. So he chose the easiest strategy, the oldest trick, a lie shaped like affection. He would pretend to be Zheng Bin's father, a child raised in a single-parent home. Surely he'd crave that missing warmth. Ego had used this method before. He had killed his own children like that. But Zheng Bin's reaction was completely outside his expectations. Instead of longing, Zheng Bin had looked at him like an executioner. The father identity didn't disarm Zheng Bin. It made him want to kill. So Ego retreated. He left Earth first, planning to reshape the situation later. And then, this person came to him on his own, a gift delivered to his doorstep. Zheng Bin's face was hidden behind a skull mask. Ego couldn't see his expression clearly, but he didn't need to. The moment he sensed that aura, he knew It was the one from Earth. And this time, the energy was even stronger than the man he had absorbed before. But more importantly, it wasn't just physical. It came from deeper, from the soul. And Ego would never forget a soul like that. Not after seeing it once. Not ever. Nearby, Star-Lord heard the disturbance and turned toward the forest. "What's going on?" he asked, looking at the father he had only just met. Ego's smile widened in pure excitement. "My enemy came to me on his own," he said, almost laughing. "Son, let me show you, huh?" His expression shifted violently, because the presence vanished. Just like that. Gone. Ego's eyes sharpened. His control spread to the planet like a pulse. But the intruder disappeared completely. Zheng moved like smoke through the woods, dodging every attack with effortless precision. As he fought, the old man of the mountains began to take back control. The bloodlust quieted. The rage sank. And Zheng mind cooled into something deadly and clear. The concealment returned. He leapt through the trees and landed on the trunk of a thick branch. Instantly, the vines froze. They stopped like they had lost direction. Then they began to thrash wildly, cutting through leaves and tearing through bushes, trying to find him. Zheng stood still, watching calmly. Several times, the vines brushed so close they almost touched him, close enough that a normal person would have been caught instantly. But they didn't sense him, not even at point-blank range. Because now, Zheng wasn't hiding. He didn't exist to them. Minutes passed. The vines searched and searched, until at last they sank back underground, retreating like defeated hunters. Zheng dropped lightly from the tree. Leaves and branches lay thick beneath him, but when his feet met the ground, there wasn't even a whisper of sound. He turned and began walking back the way he came. Slow, silent, patient, like death circling around its prey, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Ego asked the 3 Guardians of Galaxy to stop searching for Zheng. He thought Zheng should no longer be on this planet. Now, he had to teach his son how to use ability as soon as possible. When they conquered all the planets in the universe together, he would be invincible in this universe. What? In Ego's palace, Star-Lord's eyes were filled with blue energy. Now he had been brainwashed by Ego's power, and friends and love were no longer important to him. He had only one thought in his mind. He wanted to conquer the universe with his father, until he heard a sentence from Ego. "I was really sad that I put the tumor in your mother's brain." Star-Lord's originally confused eyes became clear in an instant. "What?" He raised his gun angrily and fired at Ego. Shot after shot. Ego's body was smashed to pieces. Ego retreated because of the impact of the gun, but the blue energy quickly repaired his body. "How dare you do this to me?" Ego shouted at Star-Lord, and several blue tentacles emerged from the ground and directly inserted into Star-Lord's body. "In this case, you will stay here forever and be a battery for me to replenish energy." After being penetrated by the tentacles, Star-Lord felt that the energy belonging to the Celestials in his body was constantly draining away. At this moment, a huge amount of spaceship flew in from the window of the palace and hit Ego. The tentacles inserted into Star-Lord also disappeared. 1 man and 1 raccoon walked down from the ship. Yondu saw Star-Lord kneeling on the ground and breathing heavily, and hurried forward. "Are you okay?" Star-Lord nodded. Gamora and Drax learned the fact about Ego from Mantis and rushed over. Mantis said, "This is just a duplication of his. As long as the planet is still there, he will never die. We have to destroy his center first." So that's it. At this time, a strange voice sounded. Everyone looked over and found a man in a black robe standing not far from them. He was tall and wore a skull mask, and the whole person exuded a very ominous aura. Drax looked at Zheng clothes in admiration. "Wow, brother, your clothes are so handsome. Why are they always flashing blue light? Did you install lights on your body?" Star-Lord looked at Drax speechlessly. "Can you please consider the occasion when you speak?" He looked at the man, who should be the enemy that Ego had mentioned before. Seeing the amazing momentum of this man, Star-Lord looked fortunate. Fortunately, he didn't find anyone at that time. If he had faced this man, perhaps the entire Guardians of the Galaxy would not be his opponent. Zheng Bin heard the movement from the palace when he was in the forest just now and rushed over. In fact, he had been there since Ego and Star-Lord had a quarrel. However, his level A breath-blocking skill prevented the two from discovering his existence. Just now, he learned from this group of people how to deal with Ego. Where is his core? The core of this planet. Yes, Star-Lord replied immediately. Star-Lord thought, since this man is Ego's enemy, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Or he can help deal with Ego. Zheng Bin nodded. He raised the black sword in his hand and chopped the ground lightly. His action looked like cutting a cake. Very easy. The ground was split by him, and a huge amount of cracks appeared. Zheng Bin jumped directly into the crack. I'll go. The Guardians of the Galaxy were stunned, and after reacting, they hurriedly ran onto the spaceship. They also went down with them. At the moment, countless blue tentacles emerged from the ground and tightly wrapped around the spaceship. Hurry up! Everyone in the spaceship looked at Star-Lord in the cockpit anxiously. After Zheng Bin jumped down, he found that there was a lot of blue energy below. He knew that these energies were Ego's abilities, and if they were touched, they would be devoured by him. Therefore, Zheng Bin immediately swung his great sword and used the sword energy to directly split all the blue forces approaching him. He jumped down while splitting them. The great sword of the mountain man was different from other heroes. It had neither a gorgeous appearance nor those skills that sounded powerful. It was just a sword without any characteristics or names. However, nothing could stop this nameless sword that existed in the valley and buried countless people. Soon, Zheng Bin came to the center of the planet. There was a huge amount of round sphere in the middle, and countless ties made of rocks intricately connected the sphere, which looked very spectacular. Oh! And the Guardians of the Galaxy spaceship finally broke free from Ego's comfort and came to this position. The ball in the middle is Ego's core. Mantis said, "We must hurry up. Ego will soon notice our location." Rocket controlled the weapons of the spacecraft and fired at the sphere. "No, these rocks are too hard. We can't break them. Look at that man." Drax shouted to the glass of the spacecraft, pointing at a certain place. Everyone's eyes followed his finger. They saw the man with a skull mask they had seen before standing on one of the rock ties, raising his sword and aiming at the sphere. No! Ego's body condensed behind Zheng Bin, and the overwhelming blue energy surged toward Zheng Bin. Just when the blue energy was about to touch Zheng Bin, he swung the sword in his hand. The sphere was split into two, and Ego's core, which had been protected by the rocks, was also cut open. Ego's blue energy immediately dissipated, and his humanoid duplication turned into sand, falling to the ground bit by bit. Oh my God! Seeing this scene, everyone on the spaceship shouted this sentence at the same time. Everyone was stunned. This man is too strong. After Ego died, the planet began collapse. Damn it, let's go. Yondu and Star-Lord quickly started the spaceship and flew out of the cave. Star-Lord saw Zheng Bin standing there motionless and asked, "Should we take that man with us?" "No, the planet is collapsing too fast. If we stop, we will be crushed. But someone is here to pick him up." After Ego died, Zheng Bin immediately activated the command spell and summoned the Conqueror King outside the planet. The Conqueror King drove the God Wheel and appeared in front of him. The next second, "Master, is the matter resolved?" "Yes." Zheng Bin sat on the God Wheel and said to the Conqueror King, "Let's go back to Earth." The Conqueror King's God 903. God Wheel left the planet at the speed of light. The Guardians of the Galaxy spaceship was still hiding in the cave to avoid falling rocks. When they flew, they saw that Zheng Bin and the man had disappeared. Back on Earth, Zheng Bin asked the Conqueror King to land on the top floor of the God Industry Company. After coming into contact with the Mountain Elder State, Zheng Bin felt that the oppressive, murderous aura that had been lingering in his heart had completely disappeared. Although this heroic spirit card is a crown rank heroic spirit, it has a huge mental impact on him when used, which is the same as Gilgamesh in a sense. And now, there is another problem in front of Zheng Bin. Should he put the King of Conquerors back into the heroic spirit library, or continue to let him move freely. After this, he knew that he had thought too simply before. It was also because he became too arrogant after having the heroic spirit system. In the vast universe, there are still countless powerful people and forces. If he lets the King of Conquerors continue to conquer in the universe now, it is very likely that he will get into big trouble again. The look in Zheng Bin's eyes changed. Finally, he said to the King of Conquerors, "I have nothing to do here. If you still want to conquer the universe, go ahead. But sometimes I may need other heroic spirits to help, and then I will temporarily take you back to the heroic spirit library." Forget it, let him go. If anything happened to his heroic spirit, he would take care of it. The King of Conquerors' persistence in his ideals was also his favorite part, and he didn't want to stop him. The King of Conquerors patted Zheng Bin's shoulder vigorously. "Thank you." He knew that his master was a man with a broad mind. The King of Conquerors drove the wheels of the god and disappeared in front of him. "Boss!" Emma Frost just walked out of her office and saw Zheng Bin. She stepped on her 13-centimeter high heels and walked over at a flying speed. "You are finally back." Emma Frost looked at Zheng Bin accusingly. "You called me before and said you would take a week off, but you hung up the phone without even giving me a chance to talk. Do you know how much work I have accumulated these days because of your absence? I believe you can definitely handle it." If it was before, Emma would definitely be overjoyed and excited to hear Zheng Bin's words. But after working with Zheng Bin for a long time, she has become resistant to such words. Rolling her eyes, "No wonder you want to find a mutant to be your assistant. If it weren't for mutant superphysical fitness, I might have died of overwork." She handed the document in her hand to Zheng Bin. "Here, this is a document sent by the Defense Department. They want to buy a batch of weapons for the Lu Army. Okay, you arrange a time and let them come for a meeting and sign a contract. Also, the new mutant has been trained. How should I arrange it?" "I'll talk about this after I meet the Lu Army," Emma said with some dissatisfaction. The 2 mutants sent by the X-Academy disappeared without a word. They are too unreliable. They sent the least people, and they are also the most unreliable. Zheng Bin thought of Phoenix's appearance before his death and sighed secretly. Any man who is loved by a beautiful woman like this cannot help but be soft-hearted. His heart will definitely be touched. But for this girl, he could only give some sympathy, nothing else. Just take care of the remaining mutants. Don't worry about Xavier's school. Recently, Ross Jongjun came to the SLAP Defense Department 3 times a day. Bu Chong of the SLAP Defense Department was very helpless. "I'm buying equipment for Lu Jun this time, not for you to control the army. Why are you so anxious here?" Bu Chong really couldn't figure it out. Ross was obviously the controlling army. Why was he so concerned about Lu Jun's affairs? "No, I told you a long time ago that these people with special abilities are unreliable and can't be trusted, but you still don't believe me. Especially this Zheng Bin. He is the most dangerous. We clearly had an agreement at the beginning. You see, he hasn't replied to us for so many days. He must have regretted it. His assistant said that he was out recently and not in the company. He will deal with this matter for us as soon as he comes back. You don't need to be so anxious." At this time, the office door was knocked a few times. Bu Chong said, "Come in." His secretary came in and said, "Lu Jun just called and has received a response from Zheng Bin. The meeting will be held in the next few days." The Defense Department Bu Chong, Ross said, "Look, don't be so suspicious all the time." Ross snorted. "I have to be present at the meeting. I have to help them keep a close eye on it. For point 2, who knows if Zheng Bin will play any tricks at that time." The commander of the Defense Department had no choice but to agree to his request. After Zheng Bin came back, he spent several days to finally finish all the work. Today is the time he and the Magnesium Army Department agreed to. The meeting place is at his place. Emma Frost brought people into the conference room. The leader was a familiar face, Ross Jongjun. "I remember that my transaction this time was with Lu Jun. Why did the people from the Control Army come here too?" Zheng Bin clearly remembered that Ross was the general of the Control Army. General Lu Jun smiled politely, and when he was about to say something, Ross got the upper hand. "What? Are you so afraid of seeing me?" The conference room suddenly fell silent. Ha ha ha, Rose, you are so humorous. Lu Junjun broke the silence with an exaggerated laugh. Zheng Bin laughed after hearing it. Yeah, I can't help but notice it every time I see Rose. It's so funny. You! Okay, everyone stop joking. Let's talk business quickly. Lu Junjun put his hand on Rose's shoulder, squeezed it hard, and then forced him to sit on the chair, and he sat down too. He wondered why Rose was so confused. Rose had seen how powerful the dance equipment of Shin Industry was. If they, Lu Jun, couldn't buy such a powerful dance equipment because of offending Jing Bin, he would never let him go. Rose felt the pressure on his shoulders, closed his eyes angrily, and then glared at Jing Bin. Mr. Zheng, this time we decided to buy a kind of dance weapon from Shenggong Industry that appeared in the previous Toyo War. The three weapons are musket, broadsword, and knife, although they had received a new product catalog of Shenggong Industry before, which contained various dance weapons. In addition to the weapons completely developed by Zheng Bin, there were also some traditional weapons that he had improved and were more powerful by huge amounts. However, since it was the first cooperation, Lu Jun decided to make a batch of dance weapons that they had seen effective first, and it would not be too late to talk about the others later. After all, they had all witnessed the power of these dance weapons in the Toyo War. Definitely okay. In addition to the detailed description of how to use the dance equipment and its power, the product catalog of Shin Industrial also lists the price. Although the price is 6 times that of ordinary dance equipment, Lu Jun and Jiang Jun feel a little painful. But they know that the money is worth spending, and it is only used for the elite team equipment, which is still within the budget. Their contract was signed very smoothly. After the legal teams of both parties read it and confirmed that there were no problems, they asked the person in charge to sign his name. Zheng Bin and Lu Jun and Jiang Jun both stood up and shook hands. Happy cooperation. Happy cooperation. The delivery date written on the contract is 3 months. I will try my best to deliver it before the specified date. After sending away Lu Jun, Jiang Jun, and Ross, who was staring at him the whole time and almost popping his eyes out, Zheng Bin asked Emma Frost standing behind him, "Have the factories that I asked you to build in Mauzi and several Filipino countries been built before?" "It has been built." Zheng Bin nodded and said, "Give me the list of mutants." Zheng Bin looked at the list of mutants with detailed introductions in his hand. This time, there are 65 new mutants in the security department. Emma, assign one of the best Delta, level 3, mutants in each factory as a team leader. This excellence must not only be excellent in ability, but also have leadership ability. The rest of the Delta and mutants below Delta are divided into 4 teams on average. Remember to divide the teams randomly, and remember to use your ability to supervise. I don't want them to get together with their acquaintances and form their own small groups. Okay. Emma Frost immediately followed Zheng Bin's instructions. In order to ensure the confidentiality of the dance equipment, in addition to the original Sokovia factory, factories were set up in 4 other places. Now, each factory only produces certain parts, and the parts produced by each factory are different. After production is completed, all are finally transported to Magnesium for final assembly. The production department personnel responsible for assembly are all selected by Emma Frost. In addition to recruiting people from major Junhua companies, she also found some mechanical students who had just graduated from university. Because the production department is only responsible for the final assembly, it does not require too advanced technology, as long as it can accurately complete the work assigned by Zheng Bin. Emma Frost used her telepathy ability during the interview. Some spies from other companies and people with bad intentions were eliminated. The remaining group of people, Emma Frost confirmed that they all met Zheng Bin's requirements. 000. All the staff were in place, and the dance equipment ordered by Lu was also being produced. At this time, the university also started its summer vacation. Zheng Bin thought about it and called his girlfriend Gwen. "Gwen, how are you doing in mechanical engineering recently?" Gwen was very surprised to receive a call from Zheng Bin, who was always very busy at work, and her tone of voice became sweeter. Gwen boasted, "I got the first place in my major in this final exam. With such an excellent boyfriend, I can't be too bad, right? Are you interested in doing an internship at Shin Industry during the summer? Really? Gwen's voice immediately became very excited, and then she asked a little nervously, "But I haven't graduated yet. Can I help you?" "You are here to learn, not to help me. As long as you can learn something, it's enough. Then I'll go there tomorrow." Zheng hasn't contacted Gwen for a long time because of too many things that have happened recently. He can feel Gwen's flattery through the phone now, and suddenly feels a little guilty. Gwen is a good girl, and he should treat her better. After hanging up the phone, Zheng called Emma Frost into the internal line. "Emma, there is a girl coming to our company for an internship tomorrow. Go and arrange it for her to join the production department." It was the first time that Emma Frost heard Zheng arrange a job for a girl, and she immediately thought of someone. Gwen Stacy. Zheng was a little surprised that Emma Frost knew Gwen. He was sure that Emma didn't use the telepathy ability on him. Otherwise, she wouldn't be standing here so relaxed now. "How did you know her?" Emma Frost frowned tightly. "I heard from others that she is your girlfriend." Emma Frost would never tell Zheng that she had read all the information about Zheng on the internet before. She naturally knew about Zheng girlfriend Gwen Stacy, who made women all over the world jealous. Zheng thought about it later and called Peter Parker, who has always been very interested in machinery. The next day, there were 2 interns coming to the downstairs of Shun Industrial. Under normal circumstances, only the HR department needs to be arranged to handle these matters. But because of Zheng instructions this time, it was the executive CEO, Emma Frost, who went downstairs to greet them in person. "Hello." No matter what Emma Frost thought in her heart, she still looked friendly on the surface. She had decided to show her most professional side and let this little brat see that only she was worthy of standing next to Zheng. Gwen had already learned about Miss Emma Frost from the news about Shin Industrial. She felt very uncomfortable when she saw her for the first time, but after a long time, she had already sorted out her emotions. So this time, when she saw Emma Frost, she was still able to greet her appropriately. "Hello, Miss Frost." In contrast, Peter Parker was the same. The moment he saw Emma Frost, his face immediately turned red, and he couldn't even speak clearly. "Hello, I'm Peter Parker, a student of bioengineering at Empire State University." He shouted in his heart, "Emma Frost is 100 times more beautiful in person than on TV. Now, in the whole country and even the world, no one does not know the name of Zheng, the founder of Shin Industrial Group. At the same time, the peerless beauty who often appears in the high walls of the Ministry of Defense has also attracted everyone's attention. Many newspapers and magazines have speculated about their relationship. Many people are guessing that they must be lovers, because there should be no man in the world who can refuse a beauty like Emma Frost. For Emma Frost, such a reaction from boys after seeing her is normal. So she just smiled and took the 2 to the company. Gwen found that Emma Frost walked up all the way, and everyone who saw her stopped and greeted her. From this, it can be seen how high the status of this Miss Frost is in Shun Industrial. Gwen thought a little sadly. Definitely, she is the executive CEO. Everyone in this company has to listen to her. Her status is definitely high. Emma Frost brought the 2 to Zheng office door and knocked on it. "Come in." Zheng had already reached the peak of the integration of the 2 heroic spirit cards with Siegfried and Pendragon Arthur, so it was meaningless to equip them. So he removed them. The other heroic spirits in his heroic spirit library were not suitable for long-term equipment, so he had to give up. So the clothes he was wearing now were his own clothes, not spirit clothes. Because he didn't like to dress too formally in his own office, he took off his suit jacket and tie. He was wearing a white shirt with a few buttons undone. His strong muscles were looming under the collar, making him look more masculine. Zheng was now flipping through the documents seriously. No wonder others say that serious men are the most handsome. When Gwen saw Zheng like this, her face turned red, and she looked like she was in love. "Boss, Miss Stacy and Mr. Parker are here." Zheng put down the documents in his hand and looked over. Peter Parker looked at Zheng face with some jealousy. This guy was already very good-looking before. Why is he even more exaggerated now? Then he looked at Emma Frost standing beside him and thought enviously, No wonder so many beauties like him. Stacy is like this, and even Miss Frost is like this. Zheng Bin's current strength is very close to that of a heroic spirit, and the part of him that belongs to a heroic spirit is larger than his human part. So he looks more handsome now than before, and it is also because the part of the heroic spirit has changed his temperament. Emma, take them to the production department. After saying that, Zheng Bin said to Gwen and the others, "If you have any questions, you can come here directly to find me." Emma helped them open the highest authority. Okay. After leaving the office, Emma Frost took the two to the production department downstairs. After making sure that they were far enough away that Zheng Bin could not hear them, she turned around and said to them, "The boss is very busy at work every day, and he has little time to rest. Although you two are his friends, I hope you can disturb him as little as possible. If you have any questions, please tell me first." Emma Frost had a smile on her face, but her eyes were cold. Now, even Peter Parker, who was always insensitive to these things, noticed it. Is this Emma Frost hostile to them? No. He glanced at Gwen, who was standing next to him biting her lower lip with an unwilling look on her face. To be precise, she was hostile to Gwen. Peter Parker sighed again, letting two beauties fight for him. It was really enviable. On Justin Hammer's desk was a catalog of Shin industrial dance equipment that he had obtained through many connections. This catalog was temporarily only given to Magnesium King Fong. He spent a high price to ask others to help him find this one. It should be the only one on the market. He flipped through the product catalog, looking at the detailed descriptions of various dance instruments. The more he read, the more jealous he became. Why does God always favor certain people for money, like Tony Stark and now Zheng Bin? God gave them such outstanding abilities, allowing them to easily get everything others want. Justin Hammer flipped to the back of the product catalog, and he really saw the musket that Zheng Bin had drawn when he was an intern at Hammer Industries. Recently, he had asked the company's security department to retrieve all the surveillance footage from Zheng Bin's internship. He spent a lot of time and manpower asking the company's employees to review all the videos related to Zheng Bin. Finally, he found a few pictures that could clearly see what Zheng Bin was drawing. He had asked the R&D and production departments to hurry up and develop, and they must figure out before Zheng Bin delivered it to Magnesium King. Justin Hammer smiled triumphantly. This time, he will definitely bring down the reputation of Zenbanji. Justin Hammer, chairman of Hammer Industries, claimed that Zheng Bin, founder of Shin Industries, stole confidential information from their company while interning at Hammer Industries. Hammer Industries said it would take legal action to protect its rights. Tony Stark was originally leaning back in his chair and drinking coffee, but he sat up straight after hearing the morning news. JRVIS, help me see which other channels are broadcasting news about Hammer Industries and Zheng Bin. Okay, sir. The TV immediately switched to another channel. The female host asked the current affairs expert sitting next to her, "Do you still remember the New York War?" The weapons used by the Shin Industries Security Department at that time should have left a deep impression on many people. Now Hammer said that the musket used by Shin Industries at that time was actually made by Zheng Bin by stealing their information. What do you think? The big screen behind the woman was showing the New York War, where members of the Shin Industries Security Department were holding muskets and attacking aliens. The picture freezes on the musket, spewing huge amounts of lasers. "I think it's not surprising that this is true," the current affairs expert replied. After all, Hammer Industries is a long-established jewel supplier in magnesium. It has countless scientific researchers and sufficient funds. It is normal for it to develop such a powerful weapon. On the contrary, I think it is impossible for a young man like Zheng Bin, who has just reached adulthood, to invent such a powerful weapon by himself. And don't forget, he has the ability. If he wants to steal secrets, it's very easy. Damn it! Tony Stark cursed while watching the TV. How could Justin Hammer, that rubbish, and his rubbish team develop such a powerful dance weapon? This current affairs expert must have received money from Justin Hammer. Tony Stark really guessed right. Before Justin Hammer made a statement, he spent a lot of money to let the public relations department prepare and bribe many experts and media. As soon as the news came out, They bit Jeanne and Zheng like mad dogs. Negative news about Jeanne came in a flood in a short period of time. In a moment of view, Jeanne and Zheng, who had become very positive and tall after the New York War, collapsed in an instant. People all over the country have lost trust in Jeanne. After receiving the news, Emma Frost rushed back to the company as quickly as possible, wanting to discuss countermeasures with Zheng, who knew that she waited for a whole morning, but didn't wait for him and didn't answer phone. Zheng didn't return to the company until the afternoon. "Boss, where did you go?" Emma Frost hurried up when she saw Zheng. "I have classes this morning, and I definitely went to class. Don't you have my class schedule?" Zheng said, as if it was a matter of course. Emma Frost was really convinced. She definitely had Zheng class schedule, but she never expected that Zheng would still have a heart to go to class at this time. They had been preparing for the listing of Shun Industrial for a while. Zheng original plan was to wait until the dance instrument departments started to operate, and their valuations were higher before listing. Now the share ratio and the number of shareholders have been completed as required, and they will be listed soon. Who knew that this would happen? If things continue to develop like this, shareholders will be disappointed with Shun Industrial, and there is no point in listing. How should we deal with it now? Do you want me to arrange public relations? Zheng was calm and composed. Don't worry. Wait for things to ferment for a while, and then deal with it. He was not worried at all about the jumping joker like Hammer Justin. The impression of the people of magnesium on Shun Industrial is still only on smart home appliances. If this matter is handled well, it can also help his Shun Industrial Dance Instrument Department to promote a wave. When Emma Frost was about to say something, her mobile phone rang, so she had to answer the call first. "Hello? What?" "I know. I will report this." After hanging up the phone, Emma Frost looked at Zheng worriedly. "Captain Lu Junjun said he wants to cancel our order for muskets." Zheng was very surprised when he heard this. This matter had just happened, and it has not been determined whether it was right or wrong. Is Lu Jun so impatient? He is very sure that Ross must have been involved. Ross has always had deep malice towards ability like him. "Okay, let them pay this part of the penalty." Emma Frost nodded. "Okay, I'll go and deal with it now." Mr. Hammer. Shingon has not responded yet. After Hammer Industries issued the statement, all employees in the public relations and legal departments were on high alert. They were ready to meet Shingon Industries' counterattack at any time. Who knew that Shingon Industries had not spoken out until now, and had no reaction at all? But Justin Hammer did not relax his vigilance. When dealing with people like Zheng, you must be extremely alert. Since they have not responded, you should step up your efforts and help me crush Shingon Industries and Zheng to death. Yes. Now, in addition to the plagiarism of Shingon Industries, there are many negative materials about them on the internet. For example, Shingon Industry Security Department gathered so many mutants for the purpose of terrorist attacks. Shingon Industries' intelligence system was stolen. Stark Industries. In order to build momentum for himself, Zheng colluded with aliens. He was the one who planned the New York War. These rumors were spread on the internet in a very precise manner, and many people believed them after reading them. Many anti-Stark organizations appeared on the internet. Most netizens expressed doubts about Stark Industries. I think these news should be true. Otherwise, why hasn't Stark Industries come out to clarify yet? It must be true. Stark Industries is guilty, so it doesn't dare to come out. I have always felt that the founder of Stark Industries is faking it. Otherwise, how could he be so powerful at such a young age? Oh, what a pity. The chairman of Stark Industries is really handsome. The rumors spread more and more. In a short time, Zheng went from being a superhero loved by the people of Magnesium to a hypocritical villain who cheated. After Hammer Industries' publicity, more and more people knew about Shun Industrial's plagiarism. After a few days, Hammer Industries began to lead the pace and fan the flames everywhere, causing the situation to escalate. Voices began to appear among the people of Magnesium to boycott Shun Industrial. Shun Industrial sales began to decline sharply. Many people were saying, Shun Industrial's home appliances are very useful, but they would rather use traditional home appliances and would never buy such despicable things. Countless reporters gather at Zheng doorstep and downstairs at Shin Industrial every day. However, with his heroic physical fitness, he will definitely not be caught. He easily avoids these media every day and does not give them any interview opportunities, because Zheng has not come forward to explain. Now not only the uninformed masses, but also the company's internal voices have begun to question. Many people in the product department and R&D department of the home appliance department have received high-paying offers from Hammer Industries, and several people have submitted their resignation letters and decided to leave Shin Industrial. As for the weapons department, since they signed a contract with the strictest confidentiality agreement and liquidated damages when they first joined, no one dare to leave now. It's just that the company is full of rumors now, and people are panicking for a while. No one has the heart to go to work. Until this time, Zheng was still calm and doing his work in an orderly manner. Emma Frost went to discuss the delivery of the other 2 weapons with Jeanne today, and came to Zheng office angrily after returning. "Boss, I contacted the person in charge of Jeanne today. Guess what I heard from him using telepathy?" Zheng said calmly, Jeanne placed an order for muskets from Hammer Industries. Emma Frost was surprised. "How did you know? Is it hard to guess?" "The power of our muskets can be said to be replaced by no other handheld weapons on the earth. Since Jeanne is willing to cancel our order, he must have found a substitute, and the substitute should be the so-called copied pistol from Hammer Industries. When he was interning at Hammer Industries, he drew the design of this pistol without covering it up, so Justin Hammer took advantage of it. This pistol should be the result of his research based on a rough design he saw on the surveillance." But Zheng showed a mocking smile. "I just don't know if Justin Hammer has corrected the most fatal flaw of this pistol." Several reporters stopped Tony Stark, who had just come out of the high-level restaurant. "Mr. Stark, as a former Junhua merchant, what do you think of the plagiarism of Shin Industrial this time?" Tony Stark was originally in a bad mood and hurried forward. He stopped immediately after hearing the reporter's question. He put the sunglasses on the bridge of his nose on the tip of his nose, and looked at the reporter in front of him seriously with his exposed eyes. "I have known Hammer Industries for many years, and I know very well that Justin Hammer is a waste. He can't have developed such a powerful weapon. What about Zheng of Shin Industrial? Do you know him?" Tony Stark smiled. "I definitely know him. He is a real genius." The next day, the newspaper published a headline of "Tony Stark said Zheng is a genius, but unfortunately he didn't use it in the right place." The accompanying picture shows Tony Stark taking off his sunglasses. F***K. Tony Stark yelled, "I'm going to sue this media to bankruptcy. I didn't say anything like that yesterday." The little pepper standing by sighed. "Now, all the media in New York have received benefits from Hammer Industries, and no one will be willing to speak for Zheng. I'm really worried about him. With such a big fishing reel pressure, he is still so young, and I don't know if he can hold on." Tony Stark said firmly, "If it's someone else, I'm not sure, but Zheng will definitely be fine. I've never seen anything that can stump him." After saying that, he continued to curse. "Damn it! Now I hope Zheng doesn't see this newspaper. Otherwise, what if he thinks I support Justin Bieber? Please give me flowers, or..." Shin Industry finally issued a statement. First, a long official statement was issued. Then at the end, he said, "All the weapons of Shin Industry are developed by Chairman Zheng. There's absolutely no possibility of plagiarism." Now, Shin Industry hopes to invite Hammer Industry to have a weapons display together so that the people of the country can be a witness. Our Shin Industries muskets are absolutely different from Hammer's. Now, the whole of Magnesium is focusing on Hammer Industry. After knowing the challenge from Shin Industry, Justin Hammer was reluctant to accept it. He likes to make some conspiracies and tricks behind the scenes. If he is asked to face the enemy head-on, he will be a little scared. But now the situation of Hammer Industry is very good. If he does not accept it, he will be at a disadvantage, which may affect the tendency of the fishing reel. After discussing with his team, he finally gritted his teeth and agreed. Hammer Industry and Shin Industry both agreed to the time together. Emma Frost invited the media of all Magnesium countries to participate in this weapons display, and asked several TV stations to broadcast live. Naturally, the media rushed to agree. This time the turmoil was so big. They made a lot of money from it. In the past, the media in the whole country relied on Tony Stark for their livelihood, and they could get good sales by reporting his gossip. Recently, Tony Stark's behavior has become more disciplined, but it has caused him a lot of losses. Fortunately, the incident of Jeanne industry has remobilized the emotions of the masses. Recently, they have been making money from Jeanne industry, and this time the exhibition can be said to be of great concern to the people of the country. They can take advantage of the popularity again. Although Zheng did not ask, Emma Frost finally invited Jiang Jun of Lu Jun and other responsible persons to witness it. After receiving a reply from Lu Jun confirming that he would be there, Emma Frost smiled and thought maliciously, "I hope you won't regret it so much that your intestines will turn green." Time soon came to the day agreed by the two companies. Because the muskets designed by the two companies are weapons of mass destruction, they are afraid that they will accidentally injure ordinary people. So they applied with Lu Jun and set the location at Lu Jun's training ground in Magnesium. Almost all the media in Magnesium came to the scene. After Zheng Bin and Justin Hammer appeared, the spotlights on the scene kept flashing. Justin Hammer raised his hand very showily, greeted the people present, and was assigned to take pictures with the media. Although Justin Hammer always disdains Tony Stark on the surface, he really envies him in his heart, so he always can't help but learn Tony Stark's every move. However, some actions made Tony Stark look like a romantic and chic playboy. Justin Hammer's 547 is just a form without spirit, which makes people feel very frivolous. Although Zheng Bin is almost 2 years younger than Justin Hammer, he looks much more stable. The media cameras on the scene were mostly focused on him. Zheng Bin is usually very low-key, and the media rarely have the opportunity to run into him. Today is a rare opportunity, so I must take more photos. Look at that face and that figure. All the media have decided to use Zheng Bin's high-definition photos as the cover tomorrow. Just relying on this face, there are many women willing to pay for it. The exhibition is hosted by Jeanne Industry. Emma Frost rejected the exaggerated procedures required by Hammer Industry. Even a host was not found, and Emma Frost was directly on stage to host. Justin Hammer glanced at her figure with a lecherous look. "Miss Frost, if Jeanne Industry goes bankrupt in the future, you are welcome to be my assistant." Emma Frost smiled politely. "No, I am not interested in men who look old and field." After saying that, he didn't even look at Justin Hammer's face that was crooked with anger and went on stage directly. Justin Hammer turned his head and stared at Zheng Bin fiercely. Zheng Bin was very speechless in his heart. "Why are you looking at me? This sentence is not what I said." Today, welcome everyone to the weapons display site of our Jeanne Industry and Hammer Industry. First of all, I want to thank Ross Jiangjun, who arranged the venue this time. After hearing what Emma Frost said, Ross Jiangjun stood up and waved. Emma Frost's mouth flashed a sneer. She just heard Ross's thoughts. I knew that this old man had bad intentions. He actually took the initiative to find a venue for them and help contact the media. It turned out that he wanted to make Jeanne Industry look bad in front of the whole country. It's a pity that they will definitely not be the ones to show up this time. We won't say much about other things. Let's get straight to the point. This time, the people who showed us weapons were 2 soldiers of Lu Jun. They held muskets produced by Jeanne Industry and Hammer respectively, and fired at the boulder in front. The 2 soldiers sent by Lu Jun came on the scene quickly. They each held a pistol in their hands. The spotlights on the scene were flashing wildly again. From a distance, the shapes of the 2 guns were exactly the same, with no difference at all. Justin Hammer showed Zheng Bin a sly smile, applauding his own wit in his heart. The shape of this gun was made by him based on the musket in the product catalog of Jeanne Industry, and it is definitely exactly the same. Ross Jiangjun stood up and shouted to the 2 soldiers, "Ready, fire!" The 2 soldiers fired at the same time, and 2 huge golden lasers sprayed out from the muzzles, directly smashing the front moment into pieces. These 2 identical lasers made everyone on the field uproar. This time it is confirmed. It seems that Jeanne Industry really plagiarized Hammer Industry. Even the people watching the live broadcast at home think so. Many people cried because of this. Some of them were saved by Zheng in the last New York War. Some of them liked Zheng because of his appearance or Shin Industries products. Before, when everyone boycotted him in Shin Industry, they all stood firmly on Zheng side. Could it be that they supported the wrong person? Ross Jiang stood up and announced everyone, "It seems that there is a result. You can disperse." Wait a minute. Zheng stood up. "I request that 2 soldiers fire at the sky once in a row." Fire at the sky 10 times in a row? Ross Jiang was puzzled. What was this to prove? What's wrong? Can I? Is it that Mr. Hammer doesn't dare? Justin Hammer hated that others looked down on him the most, and he couldn't be provoked at all. Hearing Zheng words, he immediately said, "Okay, why not? The guns they developed are the same as those of Shinai Industry, and there will be no changes no matter how many times they are fired. Then let's start." Ross Jiang gave the order again. Ready, fire. The 2 men began firing at the sky, and lasers shot into the sky one after another. When firing the 3rd shot, the soldier holding the Hammer Industries gun clenched his teeth, and a lot of blood oozed from his forehead. Zheng super eyesight saw the soldier's face, and the corners of his mouth slightly raised. Justin Hammer copied the design of his initial trial of this musket. At that time, he thought that this musket was only used by him, so he did not improve that shortcoming. The fatal shortcoming is the recoil of this musket. The Hammer Industries musket is very powerful, but the recoil is proportional to the power. If it is only shot once, these well-trained soldiers' bodies can still withstand it. But multiple shots, 4.2 unless all the soldiers of the Liu army have the physique of the captain of the magnesium country. Sure enough, when the 7th shot was fired, the soldier's right hand fell down weakly, and the musket in his hand fell to the ground. He half knelt on the ground with a pale face, holding his right hand tightly with his left hand. "What's wrong?" Ross Jiang shouted, asking the military doctor to come and see. At this time, the soldier holding the Shingon gun had fired all 10 shots. The military doctor came with the first aid kit, and he touched the hands and body of the injured soldier. Report to Jiang, his hands and body are broken. At this time, Justin Hammer finally reacted and asked the engineer to fire the King gun continuously. Looking at him angrily, "You are tricking me." This man's ability to turn the tables was simply amazing to Zheng. "Did I ask you to plagiarize?" He didn't want to talk to this idiot anymore, and directly avoided Justin Hammer's hand that was stretched out to stop him. He walked onto the stage and spoke into the microphone. Seeing this, Justin Hammer wanted to rush up and pull Zheng off. Emma Frost stood in front of him, and then Justin Hammer was horrified to find that he suddenly couldn't help. Emma Frost looked at him with contempt. "Listen here carefully. What happened to the soldier holding the Hammer industrial musket just now? I believe you all saw that his arm and shoulder were severely fractured. Why did this happen? The reason is very simple. Because this musket was designed by me for myself. Ordinary people have no way to use it, even trained soldiers. And the musket of Shin Industrial has been improved by me many times, and the problem of recoil has been completely solved." These words caused huge amounts of commotion at the scene, and Ross Jiang's face turned ashen after hearing it. "How do you prove that it was Hammer Industries that copied you, and not you who copied Hammer Industries?" The audience sitting in front of the TV were shocked by the plot reversal, and couldn't help cursing when they heard the reporter's words. It's so obvious. What else is there to ask? If Hammer Industries has this ability, he will definitely improve it. Did he deliberately make a gun that cripples the person who fired the gun? He even copied the design from others. How can he have the ability to improve it? After hearing the reporter's question, Zheng glanced at Emma, who nodded and took out a holographic projector. The holographic projector projected a picture, and everyone looked over. It was Zheng who was drawing the design inside Hammer Industries. How did they know it was Hammer Industries? Because Justin Hammer is very narcissistic. He likes to put the Hammer Industries logo everywhere in the building. The position behind Zheng seat on the screen is no exception. A big Hammer Industries explains his position. From the intelligence system developed by Zheng, we can know that he is a computer expert. It was too easy for him to hack into a network like Hammer Group, which was full of loopholes. Justin Hammer was too stupid to put these evidences on the computer, and Justin Hammer edited a version to copy this design. In this version, the drawing in Zheng Bin's hand was enlarged, and everyone could clearly see the dense annotations on it. Everyone looked at Justin Hammer, who was standing there motionless. "No, you are breaking the law. You hacked into my network." Justin Hammer shouted in his heart, but he was controlled by Emma Frost's telepathy and couldn't even speak. He looked anxious and sweaty, but he couldn't say anything. In the eyes of others, his appearance meant that he was guilty. Everyone present believed what Zheng Bin said. Ross Jiangjun glared at Zheng Bin and left angrily. Justin Hammer looked at the back of his backer with despair. Shin Industries has taken Hammer Industries to court for more than a dozen charges, including defamation, theft of trade secrets, and infringement. It is ironic to recall that Justin Hammer said he would use legal means to resolve the dispute with Shin Industries. Hammer Industries' stock price plummeted because of this incident, but fortunately Hammer's father left him a lot of wealth. Otherwise, it is very likely that Hammer Industries will be dragged down this time. However, even if Hammer Industries is not closed down, he has been abandoned by the Magnesium Monarch team, and his future will not be easy. Unlike Hammer Industries, after this incident, Shin Industries is the biggest beneficiary. Originally, when people talked about Shin Industries, they only thought of smart home appliances. Now, when they talk about Shin Industries, they will also think that the company's weapons are very powerful. This is the effect Zheng Bin hopes to achieve. And the people of Magnesium who know the truth are as angry as they were before, and now they feel guilty about Zheng Bin. There are even some people who were saved by Zheng Bin in the New York War, who ran to the downstairs of Shin Industries to offer flowers to express their apologies. Shin Industries suddenly became the most famous company in Magnesium, and also the most popular company among the people. "Ross, you're really going to kill me." Lu Jun and Jiang Jun were furious. "My weapon? How are you going to compensate me? What do you mean I'm going to kill you?" Ross yelled back with his neck stiff. "You found Hammer Industries because you think Zheng Bin is unreliable. If you don't want to, can I force you? You be asterisk, 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 asterisk D." Lu Jun and Jiang Jun slammed the table and wanted to stand up and beat him up. If Ross hadn't been talking to him about Zheng Bin every day, he wouldn't have been prejudiced against Zheng Bin. At that time, when he heard that Hammer had also produced an identical musket, he got excited and made an appointment. It would be good to dampen Zheng Bin's spirit. Who knew that Justin Hammer was a liar? Now he has offended Zheng Bin. Now, let alone the musket, I don't know if the future weapons cooperation will be affected. Enough. Stop arguing. The Minister of Defense looked at the two people with a headache. The most urgent thing is to think of a way to appease Zheng Bin and continue to cooperate with us in the future. Lu Jun and Jiang Jun sneered. "You think too highly of me. Do you think Zheng Bin is a good person to talk to? Then what do you say?" Lu Jun and Jiang Jun pointed to Ross standing aside. "Let him apologize with me." Just like that, two guests came to Zheng's office. "Mr. Zheng, you see, we were deceived by Hammer Industries before. That's why the termination of the contract happened. I'm really sorry. You see, can we cooperate again on the musket?" Zheng Bin smiled politely. "Definitely, but you also know that our company's business was hit before, and all weapons were raised by 50%. If you can accept it, 340, we will sign a new contract." Lu Jun and Jiang Jun's faces froze. "Doesn't that mean that in the future, the price of weapons purchased from Shin Industry will be 50% higher than the initial price?" "You cough, cough, cough." Ross Jiang Jun was about to scold Zheng Bin, but Lu Jun and Jiang Jun elbowed him and bent over in pain. "It's okay, no problem." Lu Jun and Jiang Jun smiled. It's better to have it than nothing. If Zheng Bin cheats them a few more times, maybe he will be angry and the price will return. Lu Jun and Jiang Jun made a face to Ross, telling him not to forget his mission today. Ross and Jiang Jun took a few deep breaths. It would be more painful for him to apologize to these freaks than to kill him, but all this is for the country. He closed his eyes tightly and shouted loudly, "I'm sorry." Zheng Bin raised his eyebrows and didn't say anything. He just watched Ross maintain the bowing posture. Ross didn't get a response for a long time until Zheng Bin was embarrassing him and his face turned red. Just when he was about to lose his temper, Emma Frost rushed in with an anxious look. "Boss!" Zheng Bin saw Frost look and nodded to Lu Jun and Jiang Jun. "I have something to do. Excuse me first." After leaving the office, Emma Frost quickly said to Zheng Bin, "Boss, a group of people came to our factory in Russia to steal things. Several people in the security department died on the spot, and some seriously injured have been sent to the hospital." Zheng Bin frowned and looked at Emma Frost. "I thought our location was hidden enough. Sorry, it's my fault." Emma Frost blamed herself very much. She chose this location, and she was also responsible for the loss caused to the company by this incident. Now is not the time to pursue these things. Zheng Bin said, "Do you know who it is?" "It's not clear yet. Call the person in charge of Maya Zigwo back." Ross Jiang Jun and Lu Jun Jiang Jun waited for a long time, but they didn't wait for Zheng Bin. Finally, Emma Frost's assistant came to tell them that Zheng Bin had other work now, so they went back first. Zheng Bin would contact them later. "Look," Ross said angrily. He had just made him bow to Zheng Bin, which made him feel that his dignity was greatly insulted. Now he heard what the assistant said, and his resentment burst out. "I said he had no sincerity to cooperate with us." Lu Jun Jiangjun was too lazy to talk to this person anymore. It was good enough that he was willing to pay attention to them, even though he had done something wrong. Emma Frost went to Mousy Country in person to ask the mutants guarding the factory, "What did you find that night?" Many mutants present were injured to varying degrees. Although they were all bandaged, they still looked a little miserable. "That night Emma Frost, who was originally smiling, suddenly looked stern. She used her ability to knock the mutant who spoke out unconscious. There was a commotion in the crowd. No one understood why he fainted, and several people wanted to check forward. "Stand still, don't move." Emma Frost tried to sense the voices of everyone present, but everyone was shocked after seeing the scene just now, so the voices she heard now were also very chaotic. Before she could find what she wanted, two mutants suddenly fell down in the crowd. Emma Frost hurried forward to check, and found that both of them had no breath. The mutant who was knocked unconscious by Emma Frost's ability and the two mutants who had died were all spies planted in this factory. When the other parties started to speak, she heard his true thoughts. She quickly knocked him down first. Unfortunately, her action alarmed the other two spies, and they actually bit the poison in their back teeth and committed suicide. But the remaining one was enough for them to know a lot of information. Emma Frost brought the still unconscious person back to Magnesium and handed him to Zheng Bin. "Tell me, who sent you?" The spy who had just woken up saw Zheng Bin sitting in front of him and immediately wanted to use his tongue to push out the poison hidden in his back teeth and bite it. It turned out that the poison was gone. Emma Frost, who was standing aside, heard the other party's inner voice and sneered, "Don't look for it. I'll throw it away for you. You'd better tell the truth obediently. It was Magneto who sent me." Zheng Bin raised his eyebrows and looked at Emma Frost. Emma Frost shook her head at Zheng Bin with a distressed look on her face. This person may have noticed her true ability. Since just now, he has been singing a song in his heart. She couldn't hear the other person's voice at all. She wanted to try to check the other person's memory, but the amazing thing was that the person's memory seemed to be protected by something, and she had no way to enter the other person's brain. Zheng Bin didn't believe a word of what the other person said. "Emma, you go out first." Emma Frost bit her lip unwillingly, knowing that she couldn't help here, so she followed Zheng Bin's words and went out. Zheng Bin said in his heart, "System, help me summon Jack the Ripper. Everyone has his own expertise. If he wants to pry open this person's mouth, torturing people is Jack the Ripper's specialty. Okay, host, do you want to call us Kandar?" "Yes." After a burst of light, Jack the Ripper appeared in the circle of ministers. When she opened her eyes and saw Zheng Bin, a crazy look appeared on her face, and she wanted to rush over with a dagger in both hands. Zheng Bin threw out a command spell without thinking. "I order you in the name of the command spell to stop attacking me." Jack the Ripper suddenly felt the restraints wrap around her, and used his dagger to chop the invisible magic patterns around her. "Go away, don't disturb me," Zheng Bin suddenly said. "If you do this again, I will kill your mother." This sentence hit Jack the Ripper's soft spot. She froze and looked at Zheng Bin with a pitiful expression. If I didn't know that she had done so many perverted things, I would have thought she was just an innocent little girl just by looking at this face. How could I imagine that she had done so many terrible things? Zheng Bin knew the other party's deeds. Even if he saw this lovable face, his heart was not moved. "My mother is still alive?" Zheng Bin had confirmed this matter, but he thought about the bitter and vengeful look of the Asgardian in the Sin City. People who stick to their principles should not kill people. So he nodded without hesitation. "Definitely, but if you don't listen to me, I can't guarantee it." Jack the Ripper stood at attention immediately, looking at Zheng Bin with an expression of, "I'm a good boy, don't worry, I will be obedient." Zheng Bin was satisfied. "Very good. I have a task for you now. Kings, help me interrogate this man and make him tell me who sent him to trouble me. Does this mean that she can abuse this man at will?" Jack the Ripper's expression became eager to try, and he praised Zheng Bin. "I didn't expect that you are also an interesting person." The spy who just saw a girl appear out of thin air and was still confused suddenly reacted. It turned out that this girl was used to deal with him. At first, he wanted to laugh at it. Didn't Zheng Bin always think he was great? Why did he find such a little girl to help? Before he said anything, he suddenly saw the inhuman eyes of the little girl and couldn't help shuddering. She was like a devil from hell. Jack dislocated the jaw of the spy who wanted to bite his tongue to commit suicide with one hand, looking at him with a smile. "The game has just begun. Don't kill him. You can do whatever you want with the rest." Zheng Bin handed the home court to Jack the Ripper, left the room, and went into the monitoring room. Emma Frost was already waiting for him there. Emma Frost always knew that Zheng Bin was a little special, but she didn't ask much even though she had just seen the process of his summoning in the monitoring room. The interrogation process of Jack the Ripper was very bloody. You can use all the adjectives in the world to describe her cruelty, to describe her behavior. Emma Frost had killed people before, but now she saw what Jack the Ripper was doing, and she couldn't help but rush to the trash can beside her and vomit. Zheng Bin, who had been staring at the screen, also frowned. Although he never cared about names, he couldn't agree with Jack the Ripper's approach. This man surrendered after only 5 minutes under Jack the Ripper. His face and body were already soaked with blood, and he looked like a bloody man. His jaw was dislocated, and he couldn't speak, so he had to write 990 with the blood on his fingers with difficulty. Hydra. He originally thought that as long as he confessed, he could escape this inhuman torture. Who knew that Jack the Ripper didn't care about his answer? She wiped the letters on the ground with the sole of her shoe, and that place turned into a pool of blood. The spy raised his head with difficulty and looked at her in disbelief. Jack the Ripper smiled sweetly. "What's the matter? Let's continue playing." Although Jack the Ripper destroyed the evidence, those words were clearly seen by Zheng Bin and Emma Frost in the monitoring room. Emma Frost showed a hesitant expression. "Should we let him go?" Zheng Bin looked at the screen without comment. Emma, who had been working under Zheng Bin for a while, knew that this meant a denial, so she suggested again, "In this case, why don't we give him a quick death? Shin Industry is a formal enterprise. How could it kill people casually?" Emma Frost heard Zheng Bin's words and knew that there was no way to let that person go. She glanced at the screen with sympathy, and then followed Zheng Bin out of the monitoring room. Jack the Ripper promised Zheng Bin that he would not kill anyone, and she would definitely do it. After all, her biggest weakness was in Zheng Bin's hands, and she could still obey him even if she didn't want to. She took a thin thread and roughly sewed the wound of the man on the ground who was no longer in human form. The man on the ground woke up from the pain of the needle piercing his skin and looked at Jack the Ripper with confused eyes, but no one reacted. His lips opened slightly, and after a while, saliva flowed from the corners of his mouth, and he looked stupid. He was tortured to insanity. Jack the Ripper walked out of the blood-stained room, saw Zheng Bin and Emma Frost standing in the corridor, and walked over. "I asked for you, who said it was 9 pigs?" Emma Frost twitched her mouth after hearing it. She added, "It's Hydra." Jack the Ripper heard Emma Frost's voice and set his sights on her. When she saw Emma Frost's beautiful face, her eyes lit up. This sister is so beautiful. Do you want to play with me? Emma Frost trembled slightly when she saw Jack the Ripper's eyes. This person's eyes were really scary. She couldn't see any humanity in them. There was only endless killing and malice. Emma Frost had never seen such dark eyes. Zheng felt Emma Frost's fear. Sect. He knew how much impact humans would have on a heroic spirit like Jack the Ripper, who was made up of resentment. He stepped forward to block Emma Frost and cut off Jack the Ripper's sight. When Jack the Ripper saw this, he knew that Zheng was protecting the young lady and lowered his eyes in disappointment. What I like most is playing with my little sister. Then she suddenly remembered something and looked at Zheng with energy. I have completed your task. Can I go see my mother? Let's talk about it next time. Zheng recalled Jack the Ripper to the Heroic Spirit Library without hesitation. Jack the Ripper stared at Zheng with a resentful expression until it disappeared and returned to the Heroic Spirit Library. Emma Frost, who was standing next to Zheng, also felt the resentment from Jack the Ripper. She rubbed her arm full of goosebumps and asked, "Boss, these people were sent by Magneto. How should this matter be handled?" Zheng pondered. These people can now be confirmed to be the work of HYDRA, but he doesn't know what role Magneto plays in it. I will deal with this matter later. Emma, you go to each factory, question and investigate, and find out all those who have second thoughts. Boss, 2 of our brothers died on the spot today for unknown reasons. Another one was taken back to the United States by the CEO of God Industry. What? Magneto has always been very caring towards mutants of the same race. After knowing that several of them died at Zheng place, he felt offended. He wanted to go to Zheng to argue, but in order to maintain confidentiality in Zheng factory, all mutants were required a hand in their communication equipment. He didn't know how to explain to the other party where he got the news from. Just as he hesitated, his phone rang. The caller was Zheng, who he had been thinking about just now. Hello? Is there anything you want to call me for? Magneto's voice sounded very cold. I found a traitor in the security department who leaked the boycott of my factory and cooperated with the enemy inside and outside, causing us a lot of losses. These people are from Mutant Brotherhood. I doubt your sincerity in cooperation. Huh? Magneto, who was just thinking about how to make trouble for Zheng, was stunned when he heard this. What? Now I suspect that there are many traitors among the people sent by Mutant Brotherhood who are colluding with other forces. I have sent people to investigate. If I find any, I will never let them go easily. Now I am calling to inform you first. After saying that, Zheng hung up the phone directly, leaving Magneto, who was confused and had not yet reacted, listening to the busy tone from the other end of the phone. Sir, I'm sorry. We can't go upstairs without an appointment. The receptionist said, stopping Magneto, who wanted to rush upstairs. Magneto turned a deaf ear to him, dodged the receptionist's hand, and walked straight over. When Emma Frost came out of the elevator, she happened to see Magneto, was a little surprised, and hurried to greet him. She nodded to the receptionist and let her handle it. Magneto, is that right? Our boss is already waiting for you in the office. Magneto raised his eyebrows. Does your boss know I'm back? Emma Frost smiled. In fact, he asked me to come down to pick you up. As Zheng expected, Magneto had indeed rushed to his company as quickly as possible. When he saw Zheng, he skipped those pretentious greetings and went straight to the point. What did you mean on the phone just now? Zheng turned the laptop on the desk over, and it was playing the interrogation footage of Jack the Ripper just now. When Magneto saw the footage of his men being tortured by a little girl, he was raging. All the metal objects in Zheng office were floating in the air, including the computer in front of him. All the metal objects were floating around Zheng. Magneto meant that if you don't give me a reasonable explanation, I will make you die without a burial place. Zheng sat calmly in his seat. Don't worry, you finish watching it first. Magneto barely suppressed his anger and frowned as he read on. When he saw the man write the 3 words Hydra in blood, he showed a look of astonishment. The metal objects floating around Zheng lost control and fell to the ground. making a noisy sound. Magneto controlled the computer to float in front of him. He repeatedly looked at the part where the words were written and found that it was indeed HYDRA. He frowned and put the computer back on the table. He said at the beginning that you instructed him, but I don't believe what he said. Zheng stated his position first. That's why I asked someone to interrogate him, and finally came up with such an answer: Hydra. Tell me what you think first. Magneto spoke with difficulty. We did cooperate with Hydra once, but later I found that my ideas were different from theirs, so I terminated the cooperation, whether you believe it or not. I didn't know anything about this matter. I definitely believe in you, so at the beginning, I would solve this matter privately instead of asking you for punishment. Now, I'll ask my assistant to find the traitor. Do you have any objection? Magneto thought for a moment and said, You can deal with those who betrayed you, but before you deal with them, can you let me meet them first? Zheng was very generous. Definitely. Emma Frost is very decisive in her work, especially the work assigned to her by Zheng. She will definitely do her best to complete it. It took only 1 week to question and investigate all the factory employees. Finally, Emma Frost found a total of 9 kings. They were placed in various factories. Because HYDRA could not contact the traders in the Russian country, they slowed down their pace and asked the traders in other factories to keep a low profile. However, these people were still discovered by Emma Frost with telepathy ability. As before, it is unknown what Hydra did to these people, and Emma Frost could not check their memories. But she still found the abnormality through their voices. The people brought back by Jeanne Grey, like the traders in the Russian country, all had a poison hidden in their back teeth. This should be Hydra's handiwork. Jeanne Grey not only took out their poison, but also stuffed towels in their mouths to prevent these people from biting their tongues and committing suicide. Jeanne Grey tied them up tightly and brought them back to the United States and brought them to Wu. Zero? Charles, how is it? Can you find anything? After Jeanne Grey's death, Zheng has become a thorn in Professor X's heart. Every time he sees Zheng, he will be reminded of how his favorite student died. Even a saint like Professor X would find it difficult to have any good feelings for Zheng. I don't want to have any contact with this person anymore. However, at Magneto's request, he still came to Zheng's company to help his friend. Charles closed his eyes, felt it seriously, and then said to Magneto, I'm sorry, I really can't see his memory, and their voices refuse to open to me. If I really want to check, I have to force my way into their brains to see it, but this will cause great damage to their brains, and they may become vegetative. Zheng said indifferently, then force your way in. Charles yelled in disbelief. Didn't you hear what I just said? There will be serious sequelae? We can't even be sure if they are traitors. How can you treat them like this? And Professor X looked at the other 2 people present, Magneto and Emma Frost. Emma Frost stood aside with a cold face and did not respond to what Professor X said. Magneto showed an expression of approval. Professor X saw this scene and sneered. No wonder you 2 can cooperate. Charles, you are just being soft-hearted. We need to know Hydra's purpose as soon as possible so that more mutants can be prevented from being harmed. Otherwise, more and more of our brothers will be used. Professor X pointed at Zheng. What about him? Does he care about the life and death of our mutants? Definitely not. Zheng said. The 3 mutants in the July 17th field heard this, and their faces changed, and then they softened because of his next words. But I care about my employees. Because of HYDRA, my factory has lost many mutants. I don't want this to happen again. Professor X struggled. Let me try first. Professor X's wheelchair floated in front of one of the mutants, and the mutant immediately showed resistance. He placed his index and middle fingers on the mutant's temples and looked at the mutant with embarrassment. Please, don't resist me. I don't want to hurt you. Then he closed his eyes and focused on using his ability. The room was quiet, and no one wanted to disturb Professor X. Telepathy was as easy as drinking water for Professor X. But in order not to damage the brains of these mutants, he was trying his best to control his ability and slowly penetrate them. After a long while, Professor X opened his eyes. His forehead was full of sweat, and he held the armrest of the wheelchair tightly and took a few deep breaths before he recovered. Then he looked at Magneto seriously and nodded. The tacit understanding cultivated over the years made Magneto understand Professor X's meaning in an instant. It seems that all these mutants have problems. Magneto looked at the people in front of him with an ugly face, feeling very embarrassed. There are so many traitors in his organization. If it happened in his territory, it would be fine. If it was covered up, no outsiders would know. But now it happened in someone else's territory. Isn't this a slap in his face? He felt that his wisdom was ruined. Magneto said to Zheng, "Then I will take these people away." Zheng agreed. These were originally Magneto's people. It would be best for him to take them back and deal with them. After dealing with the traitors, Zheng factory continued to operate. The first batch of parts has been completed and sent to the United States for the final step of installation. All weapons were delivered before the contract deadline. Hydra's plan failed. They have been thinking about the weapons of God industry since the Battle of New York. It's just that Zheng company is very strictly managed, and they have never had a calendar to insert people in. It was not easy to catch the cooperation between Mutant Brotherhood and Shin Industry. It allowed them to infiltrate Shin Industry with the nails they had been planting in Brotherhood, who knew that they only made one order and robbed some parts of unknown use. All their nails were pulled out. Hydra's years of hard work went to waste. The people they placed in the government sent news that Zheng had successfully delivered the weapons. After hearing this news, Hydra's executives were furious. After spending so much effort, they got nothing in the end. It's okay that they can't beat Zheng. After all, Zheng combat power is against the sky. But can they not even beat those mutants in the security department? After those nails went to Shin Industries' factory, they used special tools to send a location to HYDRA. Therefore, Hydra now knows the location of all Zheng factories very well. There must be no insider. They attacked unexpectedly and went straight to the factory to rob. When all these parts are robbed, they have so many scientific researchers here. I don't believe that they can't research it. Hydra found a dark and windy night and dispatched several elite teams to attack Zheng several factories at the same time. In the factory of Mousy Country, the captain of the Hydra team avoided the mutants guarding the door and the factory wall and sneaked into the factory. The captain curled his lips in contempt. These mutants were too low in vigilance. They sneaked in so easily. They are one of the most elite teams of HYDRA. It's a waste of talent to send them to deal with these people, right? At this time, the factory door that was originally open was closed, making a huge amount of sound. Oh no, it's a trap. 4.7, the battle-hardened team members immediately realized it and quickly picked up the equipment in their hands. After the iron gate was closed, the factory, which was already dark, could not get any light in. Everyone was very experienced and clicked the position next to their goggles to switch to night mode. Oh my God! Everyone gasped, because in the night goggles, they saw that they were surrounded by countless people. Looking at it this way, they could only see densely packed heads, and they could not count how many people there were. Hundreds? No, it might be the Upper King. And these people were only a few steps away from them. These people were dressed very strangely, wearing ancient costumes. Some wore armor, while others were bare-chested. The weapons they held were all cold weapons. Hydra quietly took out their weapons and held them in their hands. They were hoping that these people might not have noticed. Then they saw that the person closest to them smiled at them accurately. It turned out that these people had already discovered it and had been playing tricks on them just now. The captain of the Hydra team was startled and fired a shot in front of him, ordering the team members behind him to kill them. Similar scenes were also staged in other factories. When Zheng discovered that there was a traitor in the factory, he had already asked Emma Frost to move the factory. 24, however, these original factories are still in operation, just making some very simple small parts that can be bought anywhere outside. The purpose is to make Hydra think that their address is still in the original location. Zheng summoned the King of Conquerors, asked him to release the king's army, and place the heroic spirits in his noble phantasm in various factories. If it were an ordinary master, Releasing such a large-scale noble phantasm for a long time, he might have died due to the exhaustion of magic power. But Zheng is different. He has Chaldea as his magic support. Naturally, there is no need to worry about this problem. He left a small number of mutants there to pretend, and arranged the king's army. He originally thought that he would need a disguise for a long time until Hydra relaxed his vigilance, and then dared to attack for the second time. Never expected that the head snake would come again so soon. It just fell into Zheng trap. The elite troops sent by Hydra were annihilated, and no one was left alive. After recalling his king's army, the King of Conquerors asked Zheng to return to the heroic spirit library and wait until the cooling time was over before Zheng released him. In the battle just now, the Conqueror King's noble phantasm also lost some people. The cooling time of the heroic spirit library is actually the repair time of the heroic spirit. No matter how badly the heroic spirit's body is injured or the noble phantasm is damaged, as long as they return to the heroic spirit library and cool down for 96 hours, the heroic spirit library will help them repair it. The Conqueror King has been wandering in the universe for a while and has seen many strong people. He is a brave man, but not Zheng. He thinks it would be better for him to make full preparations before returning to the universe. Zheng naturally agreed to his request. After putting the Conqueror King back into the heroic spirit library, Zheng thought about it and said to the system, "System, help me summon Altria." He has always remembered the agreement with Altria. Since the Conqueror King has returned to the heroic spirit library these days, he can also fulfill the agreement with Altria. Master. After being summoned, Altria nodded to Zheng expressionlessly. "Altria, I promised to take you out to play before, but I was always delayed by other things." Hearing this, Altria still maintained her original indifferent expression, but her eyes suddenly became bright. Zheng saw Altria's excitement and smiled slightly. "Change your clothes. Let's go out." For Zheng, it has been a long time since he last saw Altria. But for Altria, she just slept. She still remembers clearly what happened before and what Zheng said to her. "Master, you said you would take me to the amusement park before?" Because Altria heard the word amusement park for the first time, she was unfamiliar with it. Zheng was amused by her efforts to pronounce words. "Yes, it's the amusement park." "Host, why do you look so happy?" Altria looked at the smile on Zheng face with some confusion. She was called a killing weapon, and she was very weak in emotion. Sometimes she couldn't understand why people would smile because they were happy. That's all because of Altria. Because of me? Altria didn't know what was wrong with her. When she heard Zheng words, she felt the temperature on her face rise. Zheng looked at Altria's confused expression and smiled again. He felt that he was in a good mood today and smiled more than usual. Maybe it was because he had a good impression of such a girl with simple emotions. No matter how cold Altria looked on the surface, or how cold she was when she killed people. But in essence, she was just a cute girl. Altria would stop unconsciously when she saw something she was curious about, and Zheng would wait for her by the side without urging her. The two walked and stopped along the street. They finally arrived at the entrance of the amusement park. "I'll go buy the ticket first. You wait here." Altria stood at the door and heard the laughter coming from the amusement park. She seemed to be infected and curled her lips. Suddenly, Altria looked up at the sky as if she had realized something. After Zheng came out of the ticket office, he said to her helplessly, "Sorry, it seems that I have to break my promise again this time." Altria shook her head. "It's okay, Master. I don't know how to play anyway." But Altria looked at Zheng seriously. "Master, can you let me play later? Fighting is what I am best at. Do you want to play Altria?" Altria nodded seriously. For her, fighting is the only meaning of her existence in this world. She hopes she can help the Master. "I know. Thank you, Altria." Zheng originally wanted to go on the field by himself. Even without the heroic spirit card, his current physical fitness can completely defeat many enemies. But since this is what Altria wants, he will respect her opinion, be a competent master, and just stand aside to provide magic support. The movement that Zheng and Altria just noticed soon appeared in front of them. 10 men wearing hoods and camouflage uniforms with special ice images flew from the air and landed in front of them. The ordinary people around saw the scene and screamed and fled. The group of people radiated orange gold light. This color of light is very familiar to Zheng. Master, please find a safe place. Don't worry, I will protect you. Zheng left the encirclement of the group of glowing people with a bit of laughter and tears. Since he gained power, it was the first time someone asked him to avoid fighting. A long sword condensed in Altira's hand. The design of this long sword makes people feel very advanced. The sword body, composed of 3-color light, is said to be able to destroy all existence on the earth. A few glowing people saw Zheng leaving and wanted to chase him. Altira took the sword of the god of war and swung it directly at the people chasing Zheng. Altira's sword was very fast, but those people dodged it even faster. MJU4NDA2 NTC3 ODM1 MZZNDKWODQ smiley face. They quickly avoided the powerful sword energy swung by Altira. Then they attacked her directly. These flashing people had no weapons on them. They attacked Altira with bare hands. Every 10 punches and kicks made a light in the air. Zheng frowned and looked at them. He felt that they looked more and more familiar. Suddenly, an idea came to him. Isn't this the same as Captain Marvel? No wonder he felt that the light on these people seemed to have been seen somewhere at the beginning. He and Captain Marvel have fought twice and are familiar with Captain Marvel's fighting mode. However, because the energy and attack of these people were far inferior to Captain Marvel, he did not recognize them at first. But now, the more he looked at them, the more they looked like them. This group of people was a low-profile version of Captain Marvel, who sent them to deal with him. This group of people was obviously professional killers, and they were trained in every punch and kick. Under the attack of a group of fighting experts, Altira still had the upper hand. She was petite and slender, holding the huge amounts of the sword of the god of war, and harvested heads one by one with ease. In the end, there were only 4 enemies left on the field. These 4 people were the elites among them, and their attacking moves were more brutal than the others. But in front of Altira, these were just the last struggles before death. Suddenly, the 4 people showed painful expressions on their faces, and their bodies were shining. The skin of these 4 people cracked, and the golden light in their bodies was also shining between the cracks. The energy in their bodies was about to break out of their bodies. Zheng sensed something was wrong, and immediately stood in front of Altira. Be careful! After a dazzling light, the bodies of the 4 people all exploded. This huge amount of energy spread outward, affecting the surrounding buildings. Not all buildings collapsed under the impact of these forces. When the light faded, Zheng and Altira, who were closest to these energies, stood there unscathed. Zheng knew that the weakness of the skill he inherited from Siegfried, the dragon armor, was on the back. So while he was protecting Altira, he was also protecting his back to avoid being hurt by the energy explosion. Are you okay? Zheng turned his head and asked. Altira shook her head indifferently, and then looked at Zheng who was standing in front of her with complicated eyes. This was the first time someone protected her like this, protecting her who was called the human weapon. Why? Zheng was stunned, and Altira realized that she had just asked her inner thoughts unconsciously. If you ask why, it's definitely because I'm your master, and I want to protect you. Zheng is actually very good to his heroic spirit cards. Whether it's the King of Conquerors or Francis Drake, Zheng will listen to their wishes and let them do what they like. If a servant is bullied, he will help to get back on his feet. However, this kind of kindness is limited to the heroic spirits that Zheng likes. Definitely, he also likes innocent girls like Altira. And not only does he like her contradictory personality, Altira's appearance is also Zheng favorite. Zheng looked at the dilapidated scenery around the amusement park and said regretfully, "It seems that we can't go to the amusement park today. Shall I take you to play somewhere else?" In Zheng straight male thinking, women should like one thing. That is shopping. Although Altira is a heroic spirit, she is also a girl. Zheng drove directly and took Altira to the shopping mall that specializes in luxury goods. He didn't know much about brands, but expensive things must be good. He took Altira directly to the door of the most expensive women's clothing store in the mall. Go in and take a look. Tell me what you like. Altira looked at the dazzling store, and her face flushed unconsciously. These girls' things are so cute. Zheng brought Altira here, and he really chose the right place. She has no resistance to all things about girls. Altira walked into the women's clothing store. Although her face was expressionless as usual, her fast steps revealed her true feelings. As soon as she walked in, a clerk came up to greet her. The clerk saw Altira's beautiful face and was stunned for several seconds before speaking. Miss, what do you want to buy? Altira turned to look at Zheng, who was following behind her. Zheng saw the look of hope in her big eyes and smiled. Clothes, bags, accessories. Give them to her to try. The clerk saw Zheng at this time and widened his eyes in surprise. The chairman of Shin Industry. Zheng fame on Yo-Yo has recently surpassed Tony Stark, and he has become the most popular bachelor that women in magnesium want to marry. The clerk was delighted when he saw him. This is a newly rich man. With him, I don't have to worry about my performance this month. Altira was surrounded by a pile of clothes and was a little overwhelmed. Miss, please come with me to the fitting room. Altira tried on one set of clothes after another. Zheng has seen many peerless beauties now and has a very high aesthetic level. He selected 10 sets of clothes that best suited Altira's temperament. Pack all of these for me. Altira's skin color and ethereal temperament are most suitable for white. Zheng chose this color for her. Altira changed into one of the clothes, a white tulle dress, which matched her long silver hair. After buying clothes, she went to buy some jewelry. The longer Zheng spent with Altira, the more he understood her. Like now, Altira was staring at a crown-shaped diamond hairpin without moving her eyes away. As soon as Zheng saw her sparkling eyes, he knew that she liked this hairpin. Please take this out. Zheng picked up the diamond hairpin and clipped it on Altira's silver hair. Altira, this suits you very well. Altira's face turned red. She couldn't maintain her indifferent expression and rarely showed the appearance of a little girl. She touched the hairpin on her head. Am I really suitable for such a girly thing? Definitely, you are a very cute girl. Altira's lips bloomed with a smile. It was not the small smile that was hard to see before, but a very accurate and real smile. Zheng couldn't help but stare at her smile in a trance. At night, Zheng took Altira to the highest revolving restaurant in Nuyo, where they enjoyed the food while looking at the night view of Nuyo. Master, thank you very much today. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. Altira looked at the scenery outside the window with her face tilted, not daring to look directly at Gaiwu's face. She spoke shyly. Actually, I don't like the name Altira very much. Can you call me Altira in the future? Definitely, Altira. Then Zheng saw Altira's face, and she showed another beautiful smile. When Zheng and Altira went to buy jewelry, the moment he helped Altira put on a hairpin was photographed by passers-by and sold to the newspaper. 0. The next day, all the major newspapers used this photo as their headlines. A beautiful woman is by my side, the new love of Zheng, the chairman of Shin Industry. With so many mysterious beauties, will Fong Bin's feelings go? Not only did Zheng replace Tony Stark's title of the Golden Bachelor, but now he has even become more popular than him. These newspapers and magazines were sold out immediately after they came out. One of the magazines even put photos of Francis Drake, Gwen Stacy, Emma Frost, and Altira on it. The newspaper speculated about the relationship between Zheng and these beauties in the articles. After reading these reports, Plaid Stacy could only feel sad, and she didn't dare to question Zheng in person. She felt that every day she spent with Zheng was like a stolen day. Zheng was getting further and further away from her, and Emma Frost didn't have such a good temper. One rival after another appeared, making her very annoyed. She walked to Zheng office with a newspaper in her hand and walked in without knocking. Exclamation point. She saw that the heroine in the newspaper was sitting on the sofa in the office with a well-behaved face. Emma Frost felt a strong sense of crisis when she saw Altira's face. She fiddled with her hair, straightened her proud figure, and asked Zheng charmingly, "Boss? Who is this? Would you like to introduce her? This is my friend, Altria. She will stay with me these days. Emma Frost almost couldn't control the smile on her face when she heard it. How could this woman stick to Zheng all day long? She quickly said, Boss, you are busy with work every day. Where do you have time to accompany Miss Altria? 313-inch? Why don't I ask someone to take her around? I will not leave the master. Altria said with a stern face. It's okay, Emma. I'll take time to accompany her these days. Emma Frost left Zhengbin's office indignantly. This was the first time he was so nice to a girl. He was willing to put down his work to accompany her. Even for Gwen Stacy, Zhengbin had never cared so much. Master, will I disturb your work here? No. After hearing this, Altria sat obediently in his seat and continued to stare at the diamond hairpin in his hand in a daze. Nick Fury frowned and looked at the screen in front of him. What was being played on was a scene of Zhengbin fighting with others outside the amusement park that day. Nick Fury kept repeating the images of those flashing people. Agent Coulson, standing aside, asked, Chrysanthemum, is this? It should be. Nick Fury replied in a deep voice. As a good friend of Captain Marvel, Nick Fury naturally understood it very well. He saw the peculiarity of this group of people faster than Zhengbin. Their energy and fighting style are just inferior copies of Captain Marvel. At that time, you searched the entire ruins of S.H.I.E.L.D., but you didn't find Captain Marvel's leg, right? Coulson replied, Yes, I led a team to search the entire ruins with an energy detector. Are the people in the team reliable? They are all senior agents who have worked in S.H.I.E.L.D. for more than 10 years, so there should be no problem. After listening, Nick Fury continued to stare at the scene on the screen, although he still couldn't figure out what was going on. But he was sure that this must be related to Captain Marvel's missing short leg. Chrysanthemum. Should we call Captain Marvel back? Not for now. Let Natasha Romanoff check what the situation is. 000. A week passed quickly, and the cooling time of the Conqueror King was over. Zhengbin still remembered the previous agreement with the Conqueror King, and it was time to summon him out. Altria, I'm sorry. Although I had a great time with you, I need to summon other heroes now. Altria looked a little sad after hearing this, but she didn't refute Zhengbin, just nodded obediently. Zhengbin saw the melancholy under Altria's expressionless face at a glance, and touched Altria's smooth long hair. Go back and have a good sleep, and you can see me when you open your eyes again. Zhengbin used the system to put Altria back into the heroic spirit library. There is no way to bring things in the real world back to the heroic spirit library. A flash of light appeared, and the clothes that Altria was wearing fell to the ground. On the top of the clothes was Altria's sparkling hairpin. Zhengbin put Altria's hairpin in his hand and rubbed it for a while, then put it back in his pocket. Then he summoned the King of Conquerors. Master, we meet again. The King of Conquerors greeted him and said, I'm ready and I'm going to Universe now. 3.5, wait a minute. Zhengbin called out to the King of Conquerors, who had just released the Divine Power Chariot. This time I'll go with you. He felt that there were too few types of heroic spirits in his heroic spirit library, and now he urgently needed a new heroic spirit that he could equip on a daily basis. But now, he hadn't heard the system's voice for a long time. He thought maybe this was because he had collected all the heroic spirits on Earth. He felt that it was time to go to the universe. The Conqueror King was stunned after hearing Zhengbin's words. Then he said happily, Great! If Master is willing to join, I would welcome him very much. I always feel that it is a pity for such a powerful person like Master to be trapped on Earth. The first thing to do when going to the universe is to hand over the work to someone you trust. A lot of things have happened in Shin industry during this period, and it has recently been targeted by HYDRA. Zhengbin feels relieved to hand over the company to the powerful Emma Frost. Half a year, Emma Frost looked at Zhengbin with a crazy face. Can you bear to hand over all the work to me? Emma, I only trust you in this company. I know you must have the ability to do it well. Okay. Emma Frost could see that Zhengbin's attitude was very firm, so she had to agree reluctantly. After arranging all the 24 things on Earth, Zhengbin sat on the Shinwei wheel and set off with the Conqueror King. Zheng Bin and the Conqueror King quickly left the Earth and shuttled through the universe. The speed of a Shenwei wheel is calculated at the speed of light. Captain Marvel doesn't need a spaceship. His own speed is enough to travel freely between the universes. The speed of the godly wheel is almost the same as hers, and the Conqueror King has visited many planets with his treasure. And this time, he took Zheng Bin to a planet he had visited not long ago. The godly wheel stopped on a piece of garbage. "Where is this?" "Master, this is Sakar." The Conqueror King introduced. "This place is quite interesting." Zheng Bin looked around. He could see a lot of abandoned items from advanced planets in these garbage dumps. He found an energy gun not far away. The high-tech appearance aroused his interest. When he was about to go over to take a look, a group of ragged people rushed over from nowhere. "Don't move. These two new goods are mine." The leader held a gun with a strange shape in his hand. "Wait!" The others saw the Conqueror King wearing a red cloak and started discussing. He seems to be the man who won the championship in the first championship battle." "Yes, I seem to have seen his poster." "Oh my God!" After confirming with each other that the Conqueror King was a person they knew, the group dispersed in panic. The speed of leaving was several times faster than when they came. "Championship battle?" Zheng Bin looked at the Conqueror King. "It seems that your life here is quite exciting." "Haha, it's not bad to relax here." The Conqueror King smiled. "But my ambition is not here." The Conqueror King put away his treasure and led Zhen Lu forward. Enter the city. Zheng Bin looked up and saw that there were many high-rise buildings. The shapes of these high-rise buildings were very strange and full of technology. There were many mud bungalows surrounding these high-rise buildings. The combination of high-tech and primitive, it looks very strange. The Conqueror King took Zheng Bin to shuttle through these mud rooms with ease. "Master, although this planet looks interesting, it has actually begun to rot from the root. I brought you here not to enjoy myself here." He stopped in front of a mud bungalow, which looked no different from the others. "I brought you here because I found a person here at 810. The Conqueror King pushed open the wooden door on the bungalow that had many wormholes and looked like it would fall down at any time. This bungalow looks very small from the outside, but the space inside is so large that it is unbelievable. There is even a second floor, and unlike the simple appearance, the interior of this bungalow is very luxurious. It is filled with exquisite furniture, bright crystal chandeliers, and vague memories. A white-haired man is sitting on the sofa in the middle of the house. He is also wearing a white robe with some complicated decorations on it. He saw Zheng Bin and the King of Conquerors who suddenly broke in, and there was no surprise on his face. He smiled at Zheng Bin. "Hello, Master Chaldea, we finally meet. I am Merlin." "Master, this person is the reason why I brought you to this planet." The Conqueror King said, "I think you should be interested in him." Merlin. This name can be said to be a familiar name to everyone in Ome country. The great magician in King Arthur's legend. The breath of the person in front of him made Zheng Bin feel both familiar and strange. Zheng Bin could feel that this person was emitting the breath of a living person. His breathing, his heartbeat, and even the sound of blood flowing in his blood vessels, Zheng Wu could perceive. But at the same time, he could feel the energy of the heroic spirit from this person. What's going on? Isn't the heroic spirit a projection after the death of the hero? In theory, living people cannot become heroic spirits. System, is this Berlin a heroic spirit? Why can I feel the breath of the heroic spirit in him? Reply to the host, yes. The one in front of you is Merlin's true body, and does not belong to the category of heroic spirits. But he can also be recycled into the heroic spirit library. How to return, same as the previous heroic spirit card. So it means to kill directly? When ordinary heroic spirits die, they will return to the heroic spirit library as spirits. What about living people like Merlin? Does the system mean that after he is killed, his soul will naturally become a real heroic spirit? This is the first time Zheng Bin has faced a living heroic spirit, and his heart is full of countless doubts. Merlin seemed to see Zheng Bin's doubts, and a smile appeared on his beautiful and charming face. Yes, as you can see, I am not alive. For these years, I have been living in the claustrophobic Tower of Avalon, a place beyond time that will not be destroyed even if human history perishes. So, my body will exist forever. Zheng has not seen a new heroic spirit card for a long time, and just want to put into the card library as soon as possible. The sword of promised victory gradually solidified in his hand. Merlin's eyes became deep when he saw the sword. This sword is really nostalgic. After sighing, Merlin looked at Zheng. For the sake of this sword, let's make a deal. Believe me, the benefits I can bring to you when I am alive are far greater than those I can bring to you when I become a heroic spirit card. Zheng frowned. You know about heroic spirit cards? No heroic spirit has ever known the existence of the heroic spirit library before being collected. Did Shui Lin know about it? Although the Conqueror King brought him here. Zheng never doubted the Conqueror King from beginning to end. He knew that although the Conqueror King seemed careless on the surface, he was a man of great strategy in his heart. I will never reveal this information to someone who is not sure whether they are enemies or friends. Merlin noticed Zheng trust in the King of Conquerors, and his eyes flashed with admiration. He replied, Because I used to stay alone in the claustrophobic tower, it was very boring, so I developed a hobby. That is to observe the past and present of the world. So I may know more than you think. Oh, so? Zheng continued to hold the sword in his hand and pointed it at Merlin. So are you interested in learning magic? What? Zheng did not understand what Merlin was saying for a moment. The magic I'm referring to is not the magic support provided by Chaldea when you transform into a heroic spirit or summon a heroic spirit. It's the real magic controlled by your body. Your soul can cut through the plane of the universe. Even I, who was in the claustrophobic tower, was brought to this world by you. The magic circuit relies on the soul and is a kind of virtual nerve in the body. It's a waste to have such a powerful soul power, but not be able to use magic. Your magic ability is so powerful that even I can't imagine it. Becoming stronger has always been important to Zheng. Otherwise, he wouldn't have come to the universe specifically to collect heroic spirit cards. Now he suddenly knows that he has the ability of magic, as if another road is slowly unfolding in front of him. Zheng was excited but still rational. Speaking of magic, who can be stronger than the King of Magic? He put the King of Conquerors back into the card library and summoned Solomon. Master. Solomon greeted Zheng gently. You actually summoned Solomon, Master Chaldea. You are too vigilant. Merlin cried out in surprise when he saw Solomon. But we finally meet outside of Acute Eyes' door certificate. Acute Eyes, the skill. Both of them have top-level Acute Eyes. Merlin's Acute Eyes can see through the world, while King Solomon's is even better and can read the past and the future. Although they are not heroes of the same era or the same place, but they have met when they were spying on the world. King Solomon nodded at Merlin. After observing Solomon for a while, Merlin laughed and looked at him playfully. Although you have lost the guidance of God, the character that God gave you before is still there. It's so pitiful that you have to continue to be a puppet after death. Just as Merlin said, Solomon was not moved when he heard his words, but like a robot with a program. He still followed the character given to him by God, rolled his eyes at Merlin, and said, Boring. King Solomon, I have something to ask you. Zheng repeated what Merlin had said to him just now. Merlin wants to build a magic circuit in my body. Do you think it is feasible? Solomon lowered his eyes in thought, then said, It should be feasible. The magic circuit is originally related to the soul. Some people build a magic circuit, but cannot use it. They are people who are born without magic circuits, and their souls definitely cannot activate magic circuits. But, Master, you are different. Your soul is attached enough to transcend everything in the world, so driving the magic circuit is naturally no problem. You see, I told you a long time ago. Merlin looked at Zheng nonchalantly from the side. If I build magic circuits according to your soul, I wonder how many I can build. Hundreds? Thousands? Merlin looked Zheng up and down, eager to try. He looked like a mad scientist, eager to cut Wu apart for research. In that case, I'll leave it to you, Solomon. Okay. When it comes to matters concerning the soul, one must be cautious. Compared to the seemingly unreliable Merlin, Zheng trusts Solomon, who is known as the Magic King, more, and Solomon is his servant, so he is not worried about any tricks. It is clear who is more reliable. "Hey, wait a minute," Merlin shouted from the side. "Didn't you say that I would help?" "Don't worry. This matter really helps me a lot, and I won't do anything to you again." Merlin complained in his heart. "Is this what I am afraid of? I am afraid that my fun will be taken away by others." However, he saw that Zheng and Solomon were ready on the side, and knew that it was useless to say more, so he shut his mouth and watched quietly on the side. Zheng sat on the chair with his eyes closed. Solomon is a crown caster, also known as the Magic King. In terms of magic, it can be said that no one in this world can surpass him. He uses magic power to enter Zheng soul. This feeling of having his lifeline caught by others is not pleasant, and he couldn't help but frown. Soon, Zheng could feel that a trace of vitality was pulled out from his soul by Solomon, and this vitality finally turned into a thin line and finally stretched in his body. The operation of the magic circuit requires the transformation of vitality into magic. Under certain circumstances, vitality can also breed magic circuits. And at this moment, Solomon was drawing on Zheng surging vitality and building a magic circuit with his soul. This requires extremely delicate magic operation and consumes a lot of magic from the master. But because Zheng has a constant supply of magic from Chaldea, he never worries about not having enough magic. It's like he is using Chaldea's magic to create his own magic. Merlin next to him used acute eyes, spying on what is happening. Zheng body is already full of dense magic circuits, and Solomon is still drawing his life force to continue building. Merlin, who saw the situation in Zheng body clearly, opened his eyes wider and wider. After a long time, Zheng magic circuit was finally built. He suddenly felt a little tired. This tiredness did not come from the body, but from the soul. This feeling is the first time since he had the heroic spirit system. After watching the whole process, Merlin said in admiration, "It's really worthy of King Solomon, because it's perfect. If it were you, you would definitely be able to do the same as me." King Solomon said in a matter-of-fact way, although Merlin's strength is not as strong as his, and he often says, compared with magic, he still prefers swordsmanship, but it is undeniable that Merlin has a high level of attainment in magic. As a hybrid of a human and a nightmare, he has an innate advantage in magic. If he is asked to build a magic circuit for Zheng, the result will definitely not be worse than his. Although Zheng soul feels very tired, he can feel that his power is unprecedentedly strong. This feeling is completely different from when he was equipped with a heroic spirit before, and he still needs time to adapt. Regarding magic, he still has a lot to study. He feels the improvement of his ability and is in a good mood. It is rare for him to kindly suggest to Merlin, "Since you are someone who appeared in the legend of King Arthur, do you want to summon him to meet you?" Merlin was stunned after hearing this, and thought for a while. "Although your Arthur may be different from the one I know, it sounds quite interesting. Then I will meet him." Because of guilt and various emotions, Merlin did not dare to meet King Arthur. Fortunately, although the King Arthur next to Zheng had a similar past to Altria, they were not the same person after all. Merlin dared to meet him. Okay. Zheng put King Solomon back into cuckoo, and then summoned Arthur Pendragon. After a burst of light, a man with short golden hair and very beautiful appearance appeared in the magic circle. He had an elegant and upright temperament, standing in the magic circle like a sword ready to be unsheathed, shining. He looked at Zheng and a gentle smile overflowed from his eyes. "Master, we finally meet." Zheng had equipped Arthur Pendragon for a period of time before, and he also inherited Arthur Pendragon's skills and treasures. Because he integrated King Arthur's personality for a long time, he knew King Arthur very well. But it was the first time to meet face-to-face like this. "King Arthur, we finally meet." Seeing King Arthur's appearance, Zheng also felt very cordial and greeted him with a smile. "I summoned you because someone wants to see you." After saying that, Zheng used his eyes to signal King Arthur to look at Merlin, who was hiding in the dark footpath. "Oh!" King Arthur looked over with some confusion after hearing that. Merlin walked out the footpath step by step, and his appearance was exposed to King Arthur. King Arthur was stunned when he saw this person. This person's eyebrows, eyes, and temperament made him feel so familiar. Then he discovered something, and his pupils shrank rapidly. Merlin, before Arthur Pendragon's death, he had a teacher who taught him swordsmanship and other knowledge when he was a child. That person was Merlin. But in his world, Merlin is a woman, and Merlin also stood aside and looked at King Arthur with interest, looking up and down. So this is what Altria looks like if she changes her gender. Arthur Pendragon smiled politely, bowed slightly, and said to Merlin, "Excuse me, you must be Merlin from another world." "Ha ha ha, even these rigid places are the same as Altria." Merlin laughed and then said, "Yes, hello, I am Merlin, Arthur Pendragon." Arthur Pendragon had very complicated feelings for Merlin who raised him, but he also knew clearly that no matter how much the person in front of him felt like that person, they were not the same person after all. Therefore, he suppressed all the emotions in his heart and just got along with Merlin like an old friend. Arthur Pendragon and Altria had similar pasts and experiences, so their personalities were also very similar. However, due to different genders, there would be differences in some places. Arthur Pendragon did not have the softness that Altria had as a girl, but was more calm and self-sustaining. Arthur Pendragon asked the question he wanted to know most. "Merlin, in your world, the British Empire is also—" "Yes," Merlin interrupted Arthur Pendragon. He already knew what the other party was going to ask, and a trace of compassion flashed in his eyes. "It's the same here, because Britain has perished." "Ah, is that so?" Arthur Pendragon sighed. It turned out that he and other worlds could not save his country. The atmosphere was a little heavy when talking about this. Before being recalled to the Heroic Spirit Library, Arthur Pendragon said to Merlin, "It's nice to meet you, Merlin from another world." After meeting Arthur Pendragon, Merlin recalled many of his previous memories. Thinking back to the appearance of Altria he saw in the Tower of Confinement, even a person like him could not help but sigh. "Then I'll take my leave too." Zheng had been standing quietly by the side just now, and he was ready to leave now. Merlin said to him, "If you have any questions about magic, you can come to me at any time." Walked out of Merlin's remodeled house. Zheng shuttled aimlessly between these mud houses. The Conqueror King has now entered the cooling time and cannot be summoned. Although his heroic spirit, Cooley, also has other riders, he is not in a hurry to summon them now. He is very interested in the high-tech buildings on this planet and can take a look here first. Zheng walked to the border between the mud house and the high-tech building and heard someone shouting behind him, "Stop." Zheng turned his head and saw several ragged people pointing at him and shouting, "That's him. He's right there." Soon, a group of people wearing armor and holding submachine guns ran out from another alley. The leader came forward and asked Zheng, "Where's the man with you? Where's his condor?" "He left." "Where'd he go?" "What does it have to do with you?" The man shouted at Zheng angrily, "That man offended the master, and I am now ordered to capture him. Do you dare to disobey the master's order?" When Zheng was about to say something, his intuition told him that there was danger. "Please give me flowers, Zero." He quickly dodged sideways. A small iron ring fell to ground, flashing blue electric light. "It seems that you are not bad." A woman with black hair and tights walked out of the crowd. Her facial features were full of wild charm and looked very aggressive. She stroked her lower lip with her hand. "I feel like it can be sold for a high price." The man in armor said to her, "Scavenger number 142, don't disturb us. With you trash, don't even think about finding his condor in your next life. Get out of here." After saying this, Valkyrie, who was called Scavenger number 142, rushed towards Zheng. Zero. She saw Zheng standing there, without moving, thinking that the other party had not reacted yet, and a smug smile appeared on the corner of her mouth. She took out the sonic disruptor gun tied to her thigh and fired at Zheng Fu. The high-frequency wave shock rushed toward Zheng, and he could feel the fluctuations in the air. "I thought the weapons of these planets were so powerful. Are they only at this level? How is it possible?" Valkyrie, who who was standing not far away, saw that the sonic gun had no effect on Zheng Bin after hitting him, and showed a look of astonishment. Zheng Bin's dragon armor can block all physical attacks, so it doesn't hurt to be hit by sonic waves. However, his body has been strengthened, but his internal organs have not. If he is hit, he may still be injured. So he used magic power to form a barrier in front of him to block the sound wave. However, Valkyrie couldn't see the magic power. In her opinion, Zheng Bin had just taken on this attack force. After Zheng Bin had just condensed his magic power, he could feel that he was even more tired. If there were other magicians present, they would be very shocked to see what he did. Magic power is basically something that can only be kept in the body. Once it is released to the outside world, it will immediately turn back into vitality. Only the body can preserve it for a short time. And Zheng Bin just used magic power to condense a barrier around himself. This requires constant magic output to maintain. It can be done with a small amount of magic power to activate the spell. What a waste of practice. 280. However, there are no magicians around Zheng Bin now. Only a group of aliens who are in doubt. Valkyrie thinks that the man in front of him is very likely to be as powerful as his Kandar, who is known as the strongest champion. If so, let alone her, even if all the people here are added together, they can't beat him. In this case, why am I still here, waiting to be abused? Valkyrie turned around and ran away without saying a word. Only the confused Grandmaster guards were left standing there looking at Zheng Bin. Do you want to continue? Zheng Bin asked. Although he felt very tired both in soul and body, he still had no problem dealing with these people in front of him. At most, he would not use his own magic power, but directly use Chaldea's magic power to transform into a heroic spirit. Wait for me. I will go back and report to the Grandmaster now. Wait for your death. The guards also realized that they were no match for Zheng Bin, and ran away after leaving a harsh word. After these people left, Zheng Bin supported the mud wall beside him and slowly slid down to the ground, slightly panting. He hadn't been so embarrassed for a long time. Why is this happening? Is it because he is not suitable to be a magician? Zheng Bin opened the card library and wanted to find a caster to ask. Now Solomon is cooling down, and the casters in the card library are only Tong Yao, Anastasia, Gilgamesh, and Sanzang. First of all, Tong Yao, the unreliable heroic spirit, can be ruled out. The remaining three were Anastasia, Gilgamesh, and Sanzang. He had equipped Gilgamesh before, and he knew that Gilgamesh was very knowledgeable and should be able to help him. But when he thought of Gilgamesh's personality, he decided to forget it. In the end, only Anastasia and Sanzang were left. He thought about it and decided. Zheng Bin activated the system, and Anastasia appeared in a flash of light. Her expression was very cold, just as cold as her skills. She didn't say anything, just looked at Zheng Bin quietly. I'm sorry, my physical condition is not very good now. Can you help me take a look? Zheng Bin asked first. Anastasia looked at Zheng Bin and said, You are just overdrawn in magic power. You will be fine after 2 days of rest. Before, with the support of Chaldea's magic power, Zheng Bin really didn't know what magic overdrawal was. He felt his body and felt that this feeling was quite novel. Anastasia, can you build a house with ice so that I can rest for a while? He was deeply impressed by Anastasia's fortress at that time. Such a magnificent building can be built. Building a small house should be no problem. Anastasia nodded, raised her hand, and prepared to use magic power. Wait, let's go somewhere else. The Grandmaster guard returned to the tower, where Gao Qianzun lived in fear. What? Can't find it. Gao Qianzun was furious and started to fight from his seat. How could you lose my strongest champion in all these years? Hasn't he disappeared a long time ago? What do you mean we lost him? The captain of the guard complained in his heart, but on the surface he still looked at Gao Qianzun with a humble face. Although we didn't find his Kandar, we found that the man who was traveling with him was also very powerful. The captain said, pressing the button on the bracelet. A full 3.2 breath projection appeared above the bracelet. Gao Qianzun frowned at the projection at first, but when he saw that Zheng Bin was still unharmed after being hit by the sonic weapon, his brows relaxed. He smiled. This person looks okay. Take the elite team to catch him back for me. The captain of the guard saluted Gao Tianzuan and prepared to leave. Also, we can't let go of his Kandars matter. We must get him back to me as soon as possible. Compared with Zheng Bin, whose strength is unknown, is Kandars indeed more worrying to him? Yes. Finally, Zheng Bin asked Anastasia to build the house at the outermost part of the city. This place is very close to the garbage dump, and the nearby residents have basically moved away, leaving only some vacant mud houses there. The ice and snow house built by Anastasia with magic is crystal clear, shining with rainbow light under the sun, forming a sharp contrast with the dilapidated houses around it. This house is too conspicuous. Zheng Bin frowned and thought that if there were pursuers coming over, such a house would definitely be seen at a glance. However, his physical condition is not very good now, so he can only make do for a few days. Zheng Bin walked into the house and found that the furniture and some daily necessities inside were all available, but they were all made of ice. Although Anastasia looks very cold on the surface, it can be seen from these things that she is unexpectedly a soft-hearted girl. Zheng Bin 24 went directly to the innermost bed in the house, and then said to Anastasia, "I feel very tired now. Let's take a rest first. Please help me keep watch." Anastasia nodded, and Zheng Bin closed his eyes with relief after seeing it. Anastasia sat on a chair next to the dining table in the room, staring at the cabinet on the wall in a daze. A little bear made of ice appeared on the cabinet, and then the little bear turned into a little rabbit. This ice puppet constantly changed its shape, and Anastasia smiled slightly when she saw it. Zheng Bin slept in this room for a day and a night before opening his eyes. After he woke up, he could feel the abundant magic power in his body. It seems that he has recovered now. He got up and looked at Anastasia, who was sitting next to him. "Please." Anastasia nodded coldly. Zheng Bin felt the magic power flowing in his magic circuit. Although he had to use magic power to transform into a heroic spirit or summon a heroic spirit before. However, at that time, he used the magic power of Chaldea, and he had never felt the magic power flow in his body. And the abundant magic power of Chaldea naturally would not make him feel the exhaustion of magic power. Magic is still an unknown field for him. How should he use this power? Zheng Bin fell into deep thought. He thought for a long time without any clue, so he had to ask Anastasia for advice. "Anastasia, as a caster, how do you feel when using magic power? What is the principle of magic power operation?" After listening, Anastasia frowned slightly and a distressed look appeared on her face. Magic power operation? These skills and magic power only appeared after I became a heroic spirit, and as a heroic spirit, I can use them as easily as humans drinking water. I have never thought about this problem. Then do you know how ordinary magicians use spells? I've never seen it. After talking with Anastasia, Zheng Bin felt that he had reached a dead end again. It seems that only he can answer his question now. "Anastasia, I'm sorry. Maybe you have to leave first. I need to summon other heroes to help me solve this problem." "Okay." Anastasia stood up indifferently and waited for Zheng Bin's summons. "But this house will disappear after I leave. It doesn't matter, I've rested well." After Zheng Bin put Anastasia back into the heroic spirit library, he felt the temperature around him rise, and the ice and snow room he was in instantly turned into spirit particles and dissipated. After a burst of light, a man wearing golden armor appeared in the middle of the magic circle, looking sharp. Zheng Bin summoned Gilgamesh. 373 Inchum? Gilgamesh opened his scarlet eyes and looked at Zheng Bin. "You actually summoned me, Zheng Bin." The transformed heroes will retain the memory of Zheng Bin's equipment. He remembered the times when Zheng Bin equipped him, but he was very resistant to him. He thought Zheng Bin would not dare to summon him out. "It seems that you need my help for something." Gilgamesh looked at Zheng Bin sarcastically. Zheng Bin was a little surprised to hear Gilgamesh call his name instead of calling him scum or be asterisk 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 D. It seems that Gilgamesh has a good impression of him. Zheng Bin admitted. "Yes, I have something to ask you now." "Go ahead," Gilgamesh said generously. "While I am in a good mood, I can answer a question for you. King Solomon built a magic circuit in my body. I am now a magician." After hearing this, Gilgamesh raised his eyebrows in surprise and looked Zheng up and down. Magician? Yes, but for some reason, I always feel powerless when using magic. Gilgamesh's eyes suddenly became very deep, which was a sign that he was using acute eyes. He was now peeking into the future. Huh? Gilgamesh suddenly burst into laughter. So that's how it is. Zheng, you are so funny. I am completely pleased with you. His scarlet eyes looked at Zheng with a smile. Do you know that you are now a heroic spirit? Zheng was confused by Gilgamesh's laughter. Heroic spirit? I am still alive. That's why I said it's very interesting. You already have the spirit of a hero plus... At this point, Gilgamesh closed his mouth. What's more? Zheng urged. He was listening carefully. It was too uncomfortable to be stuck here. Gilgamesh smiled. The next thing can only be experienced by yourself. I believe that with your intelligence, you will be able to find it soon. Zheng was speechless, and he was even more confused by the fact that he was talking halfway. Okay, if there is nothing else, I will go and take a look at this place first. Gilgamesh finished speaking, without giving Zheng a chance to speak, and directly activated his magic and flew away. Zheng knew how willful this king was, and he couldn't persuade him. If he was forced to recall him, he might even make enemies. He could only let him go and play first. If he was on Earth, Zheng might still be a little worried. After all, Earth is still society ruled by law, and the people of Sakar are lawless, and it doesn't matter what Gilgamesh does. After summoning 2 heroes in a row, Zheng still couldn't find a way to solve his magic, and now he could only rely on himself. He found an abandoned mud house, cleaned it up a little, and moved in. He released his magic, letting it surround him, forming a protective film. After maintaining it for a while, he felt that his magic was overdrawn. Then he stopped and continued. This repeated several times, and he felt that he could no longer release any magic. So the group stopped. If you practice like this, you may never find a reason. Merlin's voice rang out in this small room. Zheng, who was resting with his eyes closed, looked over and saw Merlin's figure gradually appearing. Then what should I do? You need to experience this yourself. The sentence again. Zheng was very impatient. Gilgamesh said the same thing just now. Please explain it clearly. I can only tell you that when using magic, don't always think about the magician. Think more about the heroic spirit. After saying this, Merlin disappeared again. Zheng had no idea what to do with Gilgamesh and Merlin's confusing words. After trying to release his magic power several times, he felt that he would not make any breakthroughs if he continued like this. So he got up and left the house. When he walked out and saw the people outside the house, he was stunned. A woman with long black hair was standing not far from the house. Valkyrie was also stunned when she saw Zheng face, and then she felt annoyed. If I had known, I would not have come here, but I would have bumped into this man. She raised her hands and made a gesture of surrender. Sorry, this is an accident. I am not following you. I'm leaving now. After saying that, she turned around and wanted to run away. Stop. Zheng stopped her. What did you throw at me before? Valkyrie answered honestly. It's a control ring, a small object that will make you obedient. What will you do to me after you obey? Send you to the championship game. Zheng walked toward Valkyrie, who stepped back in fear. Don't move. I don't want to do anything to you. He walked in front of Valkyrie and said, Give me the control ring. Valkyrie was delighted when she heard duh. She pretended to obey and took out the control ring from her pocket, but actually secretly pressed the switch. She planned to press the control ring directly on Zheng while handing it over. She was very proud of herself. After installing the control ring, she would see how arrogant you are. After she took out the control ring, she pressed it down to Zheng neck in a lightning speed. She saw that the control ring was already attached to Zheng skin, and she laughed and took out a button. You just listen to me, otherwise... Before she finished speaking, Valkyrie saw the control ring slipping off Guy Wu's neck. Just now, when Valkyrie pressed the control ring on Zheng, his skin became very hard because he was protected by the dragon armor. The several spikes on the control ring that were supposed to pierce the skin became bent when they came into contact with hard objects. Zheng Bin picked up a control ring that fell on the ground, straightened the spikes with his fingers, and placed it in front of Valkyrie. What do you think will happen if I insert it into your skin? Not much. Valkyrie slapped Zheng Bin's hand away with force and turned around to run away. Then Zheng Bin grabbed her wrist. Valkyrie struggled hard, but found that Zheng Bin's hand was too strong, and she had no way to break free. The other hand clenched into a fist and hit Zheng Bin in the face. Zheng Bin easily held her fist. After both hands were tied, Valkyrie prepared to use her feet. Enough, you can't beat me, Zheng Bin said lightly, and then let go of his hand. After Valkyrie regained her freedom, she moved her painful wrist and asked Zheng Bin, "What do you want to do? What does it mean to catch her and then let her go? I want you to send me to the championship." What? Most of the people who participated in the championship were not voluntary. They were basically deceived by scavengers or brought there by force. After entering the championship, they had to fight with all kinds of strong people. Countless people died in this game. The high pressure facing death every day made many people collapse and want to escape. It's just that, Sieg, they were controlled by various means and had no way to escape from this hell. Definitely. In addition to these people, there will be a small number of people who come participate in this game because of their hobbies. But these people are either perverts or violent people. Valkyrie's eyes stayed on Zheng Bin's face for a few seconds. It's a pity that he is so handsome, but he is actually a pervert. Zheng Bin modified the control ring and attached it to his skin. It looks like he has been controlled. Then Valkyrie brought him to Gao Qianzuan. "Master, this is a new guy I found. Is this the person you were looking for before?" "Yes," Gao Qianzuan said happily. "You are really capable. I sent so many elite teams to find this person, but they couldn't find him. You actually caught him. How much?" 20 million. Okay, transfer the money immediately." Gao Qianzuan asked the people around him to transfer the money to Valkyrie quickly. Zheng Bin looked at Gao Qianzuan and found Gilgamesh standing next to him, looking at him with a look of displeasure. He is here too. Zheng Bin was not surprised that Gilgamesh would appear here. Or it can be said that according to the interests of this king, it is inevitable that he will appear in the most lively place on this planet. "Tell me, where's this Kandar?" "I don't know." "You must be lying." Gao Qianzuan angrily picked up something in hand and threw it at him. Zheng Bin dodged it easily. "How dare you lie to me?" Gao Qianzuan was furious and was about to get down from the platform. The two guards saw this and hurried forward to fix Zheng Bin. It would be very easy for Zheng Bin to break free from these two people, but if he knocked them away, it would affect his plan. Just when he was hesitating, Gilgamesh, who had been watching the show for a while, spoke up. "I think you should punish him by sending him to the championship game." The originally furious Gao Qianzuan immediately stopped his steps and agreed with a smile on his face. Yes, your method is great. Come on, send him to the waiting area." Zheng Bin looked up at Gilgamesh standing on the stage. It hadn't been long since they separated. How did he turn Gao Qianzuan into such a flattering person? Finally, Zheng Bin entered the championship as he wished. Zheng Bin felt that if he wanted to master magic quickly, the best way was to practice. In a tense fighting environment, perhaps he could stimulate his greatest potential. And if you want to fight on this planet, the best place is the championship. There are countless battles going on in the championship every day, and Zheng Bin can meet all kinds of opponents here. That's why he asked Valkyrie to send him in. Zheng Bin, please go to the exit and get ready immediately." He had just walked into the waiting area and hadn't had time to check the place before he was called out to play. It seems that Gao Qianzuan can't wait to kill him. Zheng Bin wore the armor given to him by the staff of the championship and went on the court with bare hands. The host made an enthusiastic voice and introduced, "The first to go on stage is the strongest Earthling." No one present knew where the Earth was. It sounded like a low-level planet that came out of nowhere. They booed one after another. Zheng Bin calmly came on stage amid the boos. The next one to come on stage is the Greek god of war Ares. A man with a terrifying and gloomy aura came out. Huge amounts of cheers rang out on the court. God of War, God of War, God of War. Gao Tianzuan showed an excited smile. This is the champion of the session, God of War Ares. He has won the championship for 2 consecutive times. I really want to see him in his Kandar fight. It will be very exciting. Gilgamesh, who was sitting on the side, saw the God of War come on stage, and his eyes flashed with deep disgust. Another so-called god. The aura he exuded was really disgusting. Gilgamesh shook the red wine glass in his hand and tasted the wine inside. The top wines collected by Gao Tianzuan in the universe slightly eased his impatience. My king, Gao Tianzuan said to Gilgamesh very respectfully, who do you think will win? Zheng Bin. Gilgamesh said it without thinking. I'm really sorry. Maybe we'll lose this time. Gao Tianzuan said with a smile, the God of War is the strongest contestant I have ever seen except his Kandar. Zheng Bin saw the person who came out wearing a helmet and a set of black armor, and walked towards him with a murderous look on his face. The pressure from the gods brought by the person on the opposite side made him feel the power of the other party. This pressure made Zheng Bin almost want to condense the sword of the Oath of Victory to fight. But he held back. Coming here to participate in the competition is not just to win. More importantly, to experience a calendar of using magic. He stood there waiting for the opponent's attack. Ares' height is about the same as Zheng Bin's. Both are about 1.9 meters. But his muscles are much more developed than Zheng Bin's, and all the muscles are tangled together. It makes him look like a moving hill. He looked at Zheng Bin's figure and smiled contemptuously. Without saying anything, he raised a giant axe in his hand and killed Zheng Bin. Ares' giant axe is not an ordinary one just by looking at its material. This is made by Gao Tianzuan from the strange stones collected in the universe for his champion, which allows Ares to exert his divine power to a great extent. Zheng Bin felt the attack from the right and hurriedly used the output magic spirit to block the attack. Asked for flowers. But Ares' speed was too fast, and Zheng Bin's magic power was shattered by Ares' axe before it was formed. The axe fell directly on Zheng Bin's body, and he was hit and flew up and hit the wall of the battlefield hard. There was a huge amount of holes in the wall. There was an uproar in the audience. They didn't expect that this earthling would be knocked away with just one move. He was too weak. Then everyone cheered enthusiastically. Ares, the God of War, is indeed the strongest. Ares, Ares, Ares. Ares heard others calling his name, and there was no expression on his face. He just stood there gloomily. Ha! I knew it. Gao Tianzun laughed. My king, Ares saw and won with just one move. That Zheng Bin really failed your expectations. Gilgamesh raised his eyebrows and pointed the wine glass in the air, motioning Gao Tianzun to look over. Gao Tianzun looked in the direction Gilgamesh pointed and found that between the rubble of the wall, a figure slowly stood up. The audience also discovered the situation one after another, and the voices that were originally shouting Ares' name gradually became quiet. Zheng Bin stood up and looked into the distance. Ares, who was standing in the middle of the battle, showed a provocative smile. Continue. Although the axe of the God of War had hit Zheng Bin, and although the dragon armor protected him, he was not injured. But the impact of the wall just now was very strong, and Zheng Bin still felt a little dizzy. He rested for a long time in the stone before standing up again. MD, Zheng Bin cursed in his heart for this broken magic power. He actually made himself so embarrassed. But the more this happened, the more Zheng Bin felt that he must control him. The God of War Ares walked toward Zheng Bin, and the axe was directly placed on the ground and dragged. You're also a god, right? I feel the divinity of other gods in you. 88-0-inch Zheng Bin didn't know what kind of divinity he meant, because he had equipped many cards that were related to the power of gods. So he shook his head and replied, I'm just an ordinary earthling. Oh, really? Ares' eyes showed a fighting spirit. In fact, after Ares won the championship for the first time, Gao Tianzuan had already taken off his control ring. It was just because he loved fighting that he continued to stay in this championship and planned to leave this planet when he got bored. Since they say you are the strongest person on Earth, let me see it. Ares raised his battle axe, and I jumped over The same scene happened as before. Zheng Bin was hit against the wall again. Then he stood up from the pile of rocks again. Ares shouted, "Don't just stand there, fight back." This person is obviously very strong and has the ability to fight him, but he just stands there stupidly every time. I fought back. Zheng Bin smiled bitterly in his heart. I have tried to fight back with magic. Then Ares raised his battle axe and knocked Zheng Bin away again and again, and Zheng Bin stood up again and again. The audience on the field were impatient. It was really not fun at all. What they pursued was violence with blood and flesh flying everywhere, not this boring hitting game. Go down! Go down! Go down! The audience in the field were shouting loudly. Gao Qianzhen also felt very bored and was ready to have Zheng Bin taken off the field. If this goes on, all his audience will leave. Wait! Gilgamesh stopped Gao Qianzhen. He is almost ready. Not to mention the audience on the field. Zheng Bin himself was also holding back a rage in his heart. Every time he was knocked away, the anger in his heart burned more vigorously. After being knocked away again, everyone thought he would stand up like before, but suddenly found that after a long time, there was no trace of Zheng Bin. Great, finally dead. This boring battle has lasted for almost a day, and it's finally over. They finally don't have to see this person anymore. Then they found that Zheng Bin stood up again. F***K. The audience was angry and threw garbage to the sidelines in the hope of smashing this person to death. The god of war Ares has only been bored from the initial anger to now. He will also be tired of moving this heavy axe again and again, okay? Hey, I'll hit you again, and you won't stand up later, okay? There will be no result if you continue to fight like this, so why not end it? Who said there will be no result? Zheng Bin asked in a low voice, and a light blue flame suddenly ignited on his body. The flame burned several meters high, and the color looked very pure. The next second, this huge amount of flame was sucked into the body of Jin Banwu. As he hit again and again, Zheng Bin felt the flow of magic in his body. At the same time, he also felt the power that belonged to him. He could feel the operation of magic in his magic circuit and the location where it was stored. At this moment, he became a similar existence to the heroic spirit. Release infinite weapons. The magic condensed into a pistol in Zheng Bin's hand, and a powerful laser shot towards Ares. The god of war Ares showed an excited smile. Is he going to fight back? He ran toward Zheng Bin with the prisoner of war. He raised the axe high and chopped at Zheng Bin's head. The pistol in Zheng Bin's hand turned into a huge amount of shield, blocking Ares' attack. The collision between the axe and the shield produced sparks and emitted huge amounts of a sound. At the same time, it also ignited the emotions of the audience. It's finally about to start. The weapons in Zheng Bin's hands changed into various shapes, sometimes cannons, sometimes guns, and also cold weapons, such as knives, swords, bows, and arrows. Zheng Bin, who has already touched the magic door, can finally let go of his hands and feet to fight. He became more and more courageous, and his move became more and more fierce. Gradually, even Ares felt a little overwhelmed. Just now you help me figure out one thing. In this case, will I let you go? Ares, the god of war, panted and said, "Who asked you to let me go?" Before he finished speaking, the knife Zheng Bin used to block the axe changed its shape and turned into the control ring and controller he had seen in Valkyrie. He quickly inserted the control ring into Ares' neck and activated the controller in his hand. Ares, the god of war, felt a huge amount of electric current coming out of the control ring, and he fell to the ground instantly. The audience looked at the god of war Ares lying on the ground in astonishment. This is a champion who has won 2 consecutive championships. Could he be defeated like this? Gao Qianzhen in the stand stood up from his seat with his swish and looked at Zheng Bin in the center of the battlefield with shining eyes. My champion. Ha ha ha, a new champion is born. Gao Qianzhen danced happily and kept repeating this sentence. Gilgamesh was not surprised by this result. His acute eyes had already told him the answer. Zheng Bin was brought to Gao Qianzhen by the staff like a star. My champion, if you have any requests, just ask. Zheng Bin looked around, then pointed to the woman standing next to him and said, I want the weapon in her arms. what this strange-looking weapon 24 is. He really can't tell and wants to take it away for research. And he thought that the woman next to Gao Tianzun was obviously dressed differently from other guards, indicating that her identity is special. The thing that she held in such a position must be a good thing. Although this gun was a high-tech product that he bought from another planet and spent a lot of money on. But this little money was nothing to him. How could it be more valuable than his championship? But he asked Zheng Bin with some surprise, "Are you sure you want this?" Instead of asking me to help you unlock the control ring. Many people ask for this after winning the championship. Zheng Bin said indifferently, "No, I just want the weapon." Okay. My champion is really special. Give him the weapon." The woman next to Gao Tianzun reluctantly handed the weapon to Zheng Bin. "Thank you. I'll leave first." Zheng Bin picked up the weapon and was about to leave. "Wait!" Gao Tianzun quickly stopped him. "What's the matter? Don't you want to stay and continue participate in the competition? I've already got what I want. I don't need to participate in this boring competition anymore." "What? You said my competition is boring." Gao Tianzun looked at Zheng Bin sinisterly. "With the control ring, do you think you can still walk?" "Oh, you mean this?" Zheng Bin threw the control ring used for decoration on his neck to the ground, making a crisp sound. "I'll give it back to you." "Why?" "Enough. You must do what you say." Gilgamesh, who was originally watching the show on the side, was fed up with Gao Tianzun's persistence and interrupted the conversation between the two impatiently. But Gao Tianzun wanted to say something unwillingly, but when his eyes met Gilgamesh's expression, he immediately shut up. "Yes, my king." Zheng Bin couldn't help but glance between Gilgamesh and Gao Tianzun. What method did Gilgamesh use to make this High Lord so obedient in such a short time? He complained in his heart, "Gilgamesh is really good at dealing with perverts." After leaving the high tower of the High Lord, Zheng Bin returned to the door of Merlin's house. According to his memory, the door opened automatically as if it sensed his arrival. Zheng Bin walked in and saw Merlin sitting on the chair. Merlin's face did not show any surprise at his words. "You succeeded." "Yes, but I still don't understand what's going on." Merlin made a request. "Can you let me see it first? You're a treasure." 920 release, infinite weapons. Merlin looked at the oath of victory in Zheng Bin's hand and asked in surprise, "Is this your own treasure or the treasure of King Arthur that you inherited?" "Mine." Zheng Bin's mind turned, and the big sword in his hand changed its form and turned into Francis Drake's pistol. "This treasure allows me to copy any weapon whose principle I know or that I have used." There was another sentence after that, which Zheng Bin did not say, and it was a 100% copy, not only the form, but also the power could be perfectly copied. Merlin nodded. "It is a very useful treasure, especially in battle. You can change the form of your weapon according to the opponent's weapon or kill by surprise." "So, now that I can release the treasure, am I considered a heroic spirit?" "No," Merlin explained. "Your body has become a spirit base due to multiple integrations with the heroic spirit, and Solomon built a magic circuit in your body before. So you already have all the conditions to become a heroic spirit. As you know before, the heroic spirit is a projection of human fantasy and cognition in reality. You are already a very famous hero in this world, and your noble phantasm is the embodiment of people's cognition of you. As for why you are not a heroic spirit, this is very simple. Because you are still alive. You are now qualified to be a heroic spirit. But you are not a heroic spirit yet. My body has become a spirit base. I have the magic circuit of your world, and I am a famous superhero in this world. Because of these three conditions, I have the ability of a heroic spirit, right?" After listening to Zheng Bin's words, Shui Lin nodded that it was right. 1. There is another point. The spirit base of a heroic spirit is fixed, ordinary spirit base and crown spirit base. But your spirit base can continue to grow, and I am looking forward to how far you will grow. "I understand." Although Zheng Bin still had some unclear points, he had already understood it roughly. It was just that if he had the ability of a heroic spirit now, he didn't know what class and level it belonged to. As if it had heard Zheng Bin's question, the system, which had not appeared for a long time, suddenly spoke. Heroic Spirit card has been found. Zheng Bin, class. Ruler, level 5 stars. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the ability of a Heroic Spirit, and the Heroic Spirit card has been stored in the card library. Zheng Bin quickly opened the Heroic Spirit library and found that there was indeed an extra card. The card showed his appearance, wearing a black suit. Zheng Bin was a little surprised to see his card and quickly asked the system, "What's the matter with this card? Can I summon myself?" Reply to the host, all the heroic spirits in Heroic Spirit South can be summoned. But didn't Merlin say that I'm not dead yet? So I'm not a heroic spirit for the time being? As long as you have the ability of a heroic spirit, you can become a servant. Zheng Bin looked at his heroic spirit card among a pile of heroic spirit cards and felt very uncomfortable. But it is a good thing to get a new ability. Zheng Bin talked to the system for a long time. Merlin seemed to have noticed something and did not interrupt Zheng Bin. He just sat quietly aside. When Zheng Bin looked at him, he smiled and said, "Are you interested in staying here and learning magic from me?" Zheng Bin finally agreed to Merlin and stayed in Sakar. Magic is a brand new field for him, and it is a power system belonging to another world. If he relies on himself to explore, he doesn't know how long it will take to get started. It is better to learn from Merlin. In this way, Merlin became Zheng Bin's teacher. Merlin felt that it was really easy to be a teacher to Zheng Bin. No matter what he said, he would understand it at once. Merlin poured all the theories into Zheng Bin's head. He originally thought that it would take a long time for him to digest it. Who knew that it only took a few days for him to learn it all? Zheng Bin didn't stay here for long, and Gilgamesh came to the door. Gilgamesh appeared directly in Merlin's house. Merlin's eyes lit up when he saw his face. "Great hero king, it's an honor to meet you." Merlin has always been fascinated by beautiful things, and Gilgamesh's appearance is undoubtedly what he admires, so his tone of voice is much gentler. Gilgamesh glanced at him and greeted him. "Merlin." Then he said to Zheng Bin, "Zheng Bin, this place is too boring. I want to go somewhere else." Zheng Bin was helpless. Why do both of them like to run around? "Okay, but I have to go back to Earth in a while, and then I need to summon the King of Conquerors." Zheng Bin originally thought that with a personality like Gilgamesh, he would be furious after hearing this. Who knew that he just glanced at Zheng Bin and said, "Okay." Zheng Bin was very surprised to see his reaction, and suddenly felt flattered. Besides, Gilgamesh actually came over to say hello to him before leaving, which also surprised him. Zheng Bin suddenly thought of what the system said before. As long as the heroic spirits he has equipped, they will have the highest favorability after being summoned, and the male heroic spirits show friendship. Did Gilgamesh treat him as a friend? Gilgamesh left after saying hello. Merlin touched his chin and said to Zheng Bin, "Sometimes I really envy you for being able to summon so many beauties come. Just looking at it makes me feel good." Zheng Bin saw how Merlin looked at Gilgamesh just now, and he felt a chill holding the magic notebook and silently walked to the corner farthest from him. This man is not a double plug. Merlin, who noticed Zheng Bin's behavior, puffed up his face and said angrily, "Hey, what do you mean? I'm not a pervert. I just have a pair of eyes that can especially find beauty. Like you, aren't you beautiful?" After hearing this, Zheng Bin was disgusted and got goosebumps all over his body. He stood up expressionlessly and put down the notebook in his hand. "Sorry, I disturbed you." After saying that, he was about to leave the house. Merlin quickly stopped him. Okay. You really have no sense of humor. Don't be so serious. I only like women. You don't know how many girls love me." Zheng Bin rolled his eyes after hearing Merlin's words. "No more jokes, since you have almost learned the theoretical knowledge now. Release the utopia of eternal isolation." Merlin released his treasure, and the scene in the room changed accordingly. The original marble floor gradually turned into a flowery meadow on which various precious plants grew. In the distance, a towering tower could be vaguely seen. Is this Avalon? The Legend of King Arthur has a very high status in Europe and the United States, and is a must-read book for every student. Zheng Bin, who was born and raised in Magnesium, naturally knew the story of Avalon and Merlin. Yes. Merlin turned a blind eye to the beautiful scenery around him. He had been trapped here for too long, and he had long been tired of the scenery here. He led Zheng Bin through the meadow. When Zheng Bin looked at the towering tower, he felt it was very far away, as if it was at the edge of the sky. But for some reason, following Merlin's footsteps, he walked to the bottom of the tower in a short time. Magicians need a magic base to use magic. This is definitely a means of using magic that modern magicians need. The magic system in the world you live in is different from ours, so there is no magic base in this world. In this case, you can build a magic base yourself. Zheng Bin frowned after hearing this. Building a new magic base that conforms to the base rules will be a very tedious and complicated process. That's why I brought you here. This tower was once cursed by the goblins. It is the place closest to the truth of the magic base. You can contact it here. Merlin blinked. I believe that with your wisdom, you can definitely build a magic base yourself. Zheng Bin felt that it was a wrong decision for him to agree to Merlin teaching him magic. Basically, he didn't say anything, and he had to figure out by himself. Now he could understand King Arthur's powerlessness when facing Merlin. Zheng Bin sighed and could only close his eyes and feel it. Theories, knowledge, and concepts that are well known to the public can also become the foundation of magic. Now that he is in Merlin's treasure, the foundation he wants to build must naturally conform to the setting of Avalon. He carefully recalled the magic notes he had read from Merlin, and everything he had learned about Avalon fairy tales, etc. Soon, a complete set of magic trap foundation system appeared in Zheng Bin's mind. He built all the complicated clues one by one, and soon a strong light shone around him, and a complex magic pattern appeared on the soles of his feet. However, this magic pattern appeared for only a few seconds and quickly disappeared. Yes, that's it. Merlin's eyes lit up in praise. You have already found a little trick. After the magic pattern disappeared, Zheng Bin closed his eyes, thinking about which link he had disassembled wrong just now. This time he took longer to build than last time, and when he opened his eyes again, the magic pattern appeared again. This time it lasted longer than last time, but it disappeared again before he could perform the magic. Zheng Bin frowned and thought, what went wrong? He sorted out the clues again, without giving up. It's done. Merlin said on the side, for you who are in contact with Avalon for the first time, it is already amazing to be able to build a magic base here, although it is still a little short. But when you get to a world you are more familiar with, I believe you can build it. A strong light appeared, and Merlin opened his eyes wide, because he felt a very familiar breath from this magic pattern. This is the breath of magic. Could it be done? Huge amounts of blue flame appeared in Zheng Bin's palm. He held the flame and looked at Merlin. Merlin said with a complicated expression, you have succeeded. This young human's ability to magic is so high. Many people in modern society think that magic ability equals magic circuit, which is wrong, because they have no way to build a magic base by themselves. Basically, all magicians are sharing the magic base handed down from the past. In fact, magic circuit is only a part of magic ability. The ability to build a magic base is the most representative of magic ability. Anyone who has come into contact with it knows how complicated it is to build a magic base, especially the base required for advanced magic. Even Merlin himself needs a long time to study. And Zheng Bin was able to find the key points so quickly. Zheng Bin put away the blue flame. He closed his eyes and recalled the feeling of having just successfully performed magic. This magic base has been left by Zheng Bin in Merlin's Avalon. This base is built according to this world, and it is not applicable in other worlds, so it can only be left to Merlin. Merlin took back the treasure, and Zheng Bin found that they were back to Merlin's house. After returning, Zheng Bin tried to build a magic base on Sakar. In this way, he could use magic even on Sakar, because Zheng Bin's own magic power was very abundant. If he only used simple magic, it would be a waste of talent. So after building a few simple magic bases, he began to try to build more complex and larger magic bases. A huge and extremely complex magic base was entrenched on the ground veins of Sakar. Zheng Bin spent too much time on this magic base, and before he had time to use it, it was time for him and Emma to return to Earth. Before Zheng Bin left, Hyland felt reluctant to leave. He was really curious about how powerful the magic performed by this magic base would be. However, Zheng did not miss it at all. He summoned the Conqueror King and left on the God Wheel. What Zheng did not expect was that in just half a year away, the Earth has changed so much. Host, humanity is going to perish. As soon as the Conqueror's wheel of divine power entered the Earth, Zheng heard the mechanical sound of the system in his mind. He could actually hear the panic from the flat mechanical sound. What's wrong? Ding. Issue a task. Eliminate Captain America and draw a reward card once. Ding. Issue a task. Eliminate Iron Man and draw a reward card once. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. Ding. Issue a task. Eliminate Black Widow and draw a reward card once. The system issued dozens of tasks in one go, and the targets to be eliminated included people Zheng knew or superheroes he had heard of. Zheng was puzzled. Aren't these people all on the side of justice? Many of these people have saved the Earth before, so how come they become dangerous people who will lead to the destruction of humanity? Oh, host, the world has changed now, and justice and evil have reversed. The people who were once evil have now become righteous, and the people who were originally righteous have all become evil. Why did this happen? Although his ability is very powerful now, and he can summon heroic spirits to help, but it is unrealistic for him to fight so many superheroes alone. And even if he has this ability, if he just completes the task, the good and evil in this world will return to normal. By then, all the superheroes will be killed by him. Does he have to maintain the world order by himself? By then, he won't have to do anything and will just chase the villains every day. The most important thing now is that he has to find out the reason why this happened. Solve this problem from the root. I declare that Manhattan will be the capital of our mutant from today on. Ordinary humans who are not of my race will be given one day to evacuate. Tomorrow, we will clear Manhattan and strangle all ordinary humans who are still here. Just as the Conqueror King stopped the Shinwei wheel on the top floor of Shin Industry, Zheng heard a broadcast that resounded throughout New York. The voice on the broadcast was very familiar to him. Jean Grey. Zheng was once moved by her feelings. It must be said that this girl left a mark in his heart with death. So, he immediately recognized the voice of Mutant Grey. What happened? For 180, Jean Grey must have died at that time, died in his hands. How did she come back to life? Also, how could Professor X agree to her saying what she just said? Zheng felt very confused about the current situation. The most urgent thing was to find Emma first and figure out what happened. As soon as he entered the office, he saw that the employees of Shin Industry were in a mess because of the broadcast just now. It's terrible. Where did the superheroes go? Why didn't they come out to protect us? We should have killed all these damn mutants. That's right. Emma Frost, a mutant, didn't feel angry at all when she heard these words. She was also very dissatisfied with the behavior of the X-Men. They have recently changed their style of behavior and showed strong hostility towards ordinary humans. Add to that Jean Grey's broadcast today. In just a few months, Professor X's decades of hard work have been destroyed. Although mutants didn't need to tolerate many things when getting along with ordinary humans in the past. But the relationship between the two sides has indeed become better and better. Emma Frost doesn't understand why they want to break this balance now. Boss! I don't know who discovered Zheng first and shouted. Others looked over after hearing it. Boss! You're finally back. The nervous mood of everyone was soothed after seeing Zheng. Their boss is also a superhero. He will definitely protect them. Boss! Emma saw Zheng and walked quickly to him. Zheng nodded and then said to the employees present, From today, Shin Industry will be on holiday with pay, and the working hours will be notified separately. Everyone was shocked. What does this mean? Even Zheng can't protect them, so they have to be driven away? There will be a big battle in New York next. I suggest you leave New York, or even leave the United States. When Shin Industry notifies you go to work, the situation will be stable. Many people showed reluctance on their faces. Magnesium is their home, and it was hard for them to leave so suddenly. Zheng saw the expressions on their faces and didn't persuade them much. He had said everything he should say and tried his best to compensate them. It's their own life anyway, so let them decide for themselves. After arranging the whereabouts of the employees, Zheng took Emma Frost into his own office. "Tell me, what happened in the past 6 months when I was away?" Emma Frost's mutant ability is telepathy. As long as she wants, it is very easy to explore the world. So many things have happened during this period of time, and she has already used her ability to find out. Zheng asked and immediately answered. The world has been in chaos, and the Avengers have fallen apart. Captain America Steve Rogers has become a dictator, and he has quantized and trapped all the superheroes he thinks are potential threats to the world. Iron Man now lives in San Francisco. Some time ago, he spread Extremis, a virus that is said to make people perfect. Once used, their physique, appearance, and IQ can all be improved. Now, the people of Magnesium are scrambling for this virus. This virus needs to be injected continuously and is expensive. Many people have turned to crime in order to have money to buy this virus. During this period, the crime rate in the United States has increased by 50%. Black Widow and Hawkeye agree with Captain America's dictatorial approach and are now assisting him. 11. Emma told the information of the superheroes whose temperaments had changed that she had investigated one by one. Some of them were people Zheng had heard of or knew before. Some of them were people he didn't know at all. 2.4 Emma Frost mentioned more than a dozen superheroes in a row, forcing Zheng to interrupt him first. Where's Spider-Man? His few friends on Earth are what he cares about most. When Captain America quantized a superhero, Spider-Man escaped, but I couldn't find out where he went. But I don't think he was affected too much. Speaking of Spider-Man, Emma Frost's expression became embarrassed. In addition to the original Spider-Man, there's another one now. Zheng, who was browsing the latest news on his computer, was stunned for a moment. Who? Gwen Stacy. Gwen. Yes. I don't know why she mutated yet, but she is in the camp of the captain of Magnesium. In the camp of the dictatorial captain of Magnesium. Could be that Gwen Stacy was also affected? How did this happen? The Magnesium is in chaos now, and even Zheng feels a little headache. To know what happened first, it seems that we have to contact these mutated superheroes first. Emma, help me contact the captain of Magnesium. Emma Frost said worriedly, Boss, the captain of Magnesium is no longer the good guy you remember. Zheng interrupted. Don't worry. Help me arrange it first. Emma Frost had to leave to contact the Avengers and convey Zheng meaning. Now Zheng is the only one left in the office. Zheng closed his eyes and felt the magic on the earth. A faint light began to shine around him. General Ross used to hate the Avengers the most. To be more precise, he hated all the people who had uncontrollable power for him. The Hulk, Captain Magnesium, Iron Man, Zheng. These people were all his biggest worries. So he never thought that one day he would reach consensus with these people. The new satellite we bought from Tony Stark has been launched and can be put into use from today. At that time, we can monitor all the communication equipment in Magnesium. Very good. Captain Magnesium nodded, and his blue eyes that were once as warm as the sea were now only cold. The computer screen was distorted, and then Tony Stark's face appeared. Surprise. Tony Stark smiled and greeted Captain Magnesium and General Ross on the other side. Tony Stark, how dare you invade the network of the Magnesium government? General Ross shouted at the screen. Calm down. I just came to find out about the satellite. Stark, the satellite has started to operate, although we have a pleasant cooperation, but the captain of Magnesium said in a low voice with a murderous aura, if you invade the government network without permission again next time, I will regard it as a provocation to the authority of Magnesium. Tony Stark smiled carelessly, not taking the threat of the other party to heart at all. Don't worry. I am very happy in San Francisco now, and I don't have time to care about your things. Hang up, General Ross complained. Tony Stark is always so out of tune. To be honest, I don't want to use his company's products. We can monitor the whole Magnesium, and now he can do the same. Only his products can meet our needs. I will keep an eye on him. Once he poses a threat to Magnesium, I will definitely get rid of him. The cold look of the captain of Magnesium is completely unimaginable. Not long ago, he and Tony Stark were comrades who went through life and death together. General Ross was stunned when he heard this, and after a long time he said, "I hope you can do what you said." "Definitely." Suddenly, General Ross's cell phone rang. "Hello, General. There is a new development in Shen Industry that you have been keeping an eye on. Their chairman, Zheng finally showed up at the company today and laid off the employees. What else? He is still in the company and has not come out yet." "Okay." General Ross put down his phone and looked at the captain of the Magnesium country. "Our key observation target has appeared. 000 in this short period of time, the Magnesium government has been reshuffled. It has become very difficult for Emma Frost to contact her person in charge as before." Zheng Bin said that he wanted to have a face-to-face meeting with the captain of the Magnesium country. Emma Frost tried for several days, but to no avail. Just when she was at a loss, the captain of the Magnesium country actually came to her door. Captain Magnesium came to God Industries alone. At this time, all the ordinary employees in God Industries had left and went to seek refuge. However, Jeanne Grey said that all people without the X gene should be expelled. The employees of the security department were all mutants, so they were naturally not among them. Emma Frost called back all the members of the security department scattered around the world, just in case. As soon as Captain Magnesium stepped into the office of God Industries, he saw that it was full of mutants and frowned. In the past, Captain Magnesium always looked at the world with tolerance and love, including mutants who pose a great threat to ordinary humans. He would try his best to understand them. But now Captain Magnesium, whose mind has been completely distorted, has only coldness in his heart. He has become like General Ross, hating everything in the world that is not under his control. He is now a dictator who wants to control the world and kill all dangers in the cradle. And the first group he intends to attack is the most dangerous group in the world, mutants. A hint of killing intent flashed across the azure eyes of the Magnesium captain, and then quickly hid. But now is not the time. He came today. There are more important things to do. Captain of Magnesium? Emma Frost was originally talking to an employee, and was a little surprised to see the sudden appearance of the Magnesium captain. "What are you doing here? Don't want to see me?" The Magnesium captain asked back. He has received a message from below. Emma Frost has been contacting people from the government these days, hoping to arrange a meeting between him and Zheng Bin. Emma Frost was stunned. "Yes, but is Zheng Bin here?" The Magnesium captain interrupted Emma Frost. Yeah, he is." Although she didn't make an appointment with Zheng Bin, Emma Frost thought that Zheng Bin must want to see him. Emma Frost led the way and secretly used the telepathy ability to check the brain of Captain America, who was following behind her. Suddenly, her legs went weak and she almost fell to the ground. Fortunately, she held onto the wall in time and stabilized her body. "What's wrong?" The cold voice of the captain of the Magnesium country sounded behind her. "No, it's okay," Emma Frost replied, and continued to move forward. When she invaded the brain of the captain of Magnesium, she was frightened by the dark, cold, and twisted emotions inside. She not only sensed the emotions of the captain of Magnesium, but also saw his thoughts. Kill all those who are a threat to the earth. Kill all those who are potential criminal threats. Kill those with criminal genes. Only in this way can the earth be forever peaceful. Captain Magnesium now is only killing in his heart. Such people are no longer the hope of Magnesium. Soon, the two of them arrived at their destination, Zheng Bin's office. Emma Frost stood in front of the office door, hesitating. After reading the heart of the captain of Magnesium, she didn't want to bring such a dangerous person to Zheng Bin. But before she made up her mind, Zheng Bin's voice came from the office. "Come in." Emma Frost had to open the door and said to the captain of Magnesium, "The boss is inside. Please come in." Captain Magnesium nodded and walked in. Then he closed the door. 066112424 Philu 181130460. Isolated Emma Frost outside the door. "Long time no see, Captain Magnesium." "Yes, long time no see." In addition to Zheng Bin, there was another acquaintance in the office. Big liar, I came to play with you. Surprise. A little girl in Lolita clothes was sitting on the big desk in the office, looking at Captain Magnesium with a smile. When Captain Magnesium saw Tong Yao, disgust flashed in his eyes, and he said to Zheng Bin, "You shouldn't let her out." After hearing this, Tong Yao was very angry. "Hey, what do you mean?" Captain Magnesium did not answer. He didn't even look at Tong Yao, but just stared at Zheng Bin. Zheng Bin had been observing Captain Magnesium since he entered the room. After hearing his words, he smiled and said, "You are very different from before." "Yes, I was too weak and incompetent before, just a waste. Now I feel good and I can protect the Earth better." "Nick Fury saw you like this, but didn't say anything?" The captain of the Magnesium country did not answer Zheng Bin's words, but said directly, "I came here today to know if you're willing to join us. Let's lead this Earth together and make it better. Create absolute peace." "You?" "Yes, Natasha Romanoff, Hawkeye, Thor Hulk, and your girlfriend Gwen Stacy. Also, if you join us, the Magnesium government will fully support Shin Industry. I agree. Captain America, who wanted to continue persuading, heard Zheng Bin's answer and didn't react for a while. "What did you say?" "I said I agree." Captain Magnesium showed a suspicious look, and he was interrupted by Zheng Bin before he could say a lot of persuasion. If Zheng Bin refused, he would think it was normal. He had thought of more than a dozen plans to take after being rejected by Zheng Bin. Now that he heard that Zheng Bin agreed to join them, Captain Magnesium began to doubt the other party's motives. "I thought you would refuse." "Why?" Zheng Bin looked at Captain Magnesium frankly. "I'm not a mutant, and I don't have the X gene. Their actions this time are also aimed at me. What about the mutant employees in your company?" 533, I will dismiss them today." Captain Magnesium looked at Zheng Bin uncertainly. He didn't believe a word of what Zheng Bin just said, but he couldn't give up an ally like Zheng Bin. Jean Grey was reborn because of Phoenix Force, and now she's extremely powerful with the Phoenix calendar. This battle is definitely a tough one. They may even lose. At this time, Zheng Bin's is particularly important. The captain of Magnesium thought for a long time, and finally said to Zheng Bin, "Welcome to join us." "My honor." After reaching consensus with Zheng Bin, the captain of Magnesium left his office. He did not even look at Tong Yao, who was sitting next to him. After the captain of Magnesium walked away, Zheng Bin looked at Tong Yao, who was sitting next to him, and said, "Seth, follow him." Tong Yao muttered angrily, "This big liar has become so annoying now. When he recovers, I will definitely scold him to death." While scolding, she went in the direction of the captain of Magnesium. Tong Yao once entered Captain Marvel's consciousness and made her regain consciousness after being controlled by Mind Gem. But Captain Magnesium now looks very sober, completely different from the controlled Captain Marvel. He was not sure whether Tong Yao's ability would work. In order not to alert the enemy, Tong Yao was not allowed to take action just now, but asked to follow Captain Magnesium quietly. Wait until Captain Magnesium goes to bed at night before entering his consciousness. Emma, disband the mutant employees first and give them paid vacations like other employees. The mutant employees of Shin Industrial are of relatively low level, which is more than enough to deal with ordinary people, but not enough in this war. Zheng Bin Duo reminded, "Let them hide for a while and don't get involved in this war." "Okay, after this matter is done, you hide too." Emma Frost shook her head. "No, I'm a mutant. I can go to the mutant camp to help you get information. And my level is high, they will accept me." "No need." Zheng Bin refused. The current leader of mutant is Qingguan, and she and Emma Frost have always had a grudge. And this world has gone crazy. The situation of mutant is completely different from before. Zheng Bin doesn't know whether Emma Frost will be accepted in the past. He will never let Emma Frost take risks in the past. You find a place to hide, and you can come out after I solve everything. Okay, this matter does not need to be discussed. Zheng Bin's attitude is very tough, and Emma Frost has to bite her lip unwillingly. At night, Zheng Bin returned to his home. Now all the employees of Shin Industrial are on vacation, and it is useless for him, the boss, to stay there. After opening the door, Zheng Bin's hand that was about to turn on the light paused. Who's there? He sensed the breath of other people in the room, and the smell of blood in the room was obvious. It's me, Peter. Zheng Bin immediately recognized the owner of the voice and turned on the light. The dark living room suddenly became brightly lit. Peter Parker was lying on his carpet at the moment, and blood was constantly oozing from his abdomen where he covered his hands. Seeing the scene in front of him, Zheng Bin walked forward worriedly and squatted down to check his injuries. Are you okay? Peter Parker's eyes were fixed on Zheng Bin's face, not missing the slightest change in his expression. He found that his friend was not affected and showed a weak smile. It's really good that you haven't changed. Perhaps seeing Zheng Bin too relieved, the tense nerves finally relaxed. After saying this, Peter Parker fainted. Peter! Zheng Bin took out the bandage from a medical kit and wanted to stop Peter Parker's bleeding first. However, Peter Parker's self-healing ability was very strong. When he took out the bandage, the blood had stopped flowing. He cut open Peter Parker's tights with scissors to prevent the wound from sticking to the clothes when healing. After he finished these things, he sat next to Peter Parker, waiting for him to wake up. The captain of the Magnesium Kingdom went back to the Avengers building. Most of the superheroes were out on missions or busy with their own things. Now there were only Black Widow and the new Wonder Man Luke Cage in the base. Black Widow saw Captain America appear for 170 and went to meet him. How is it? He agreed. The captain of the Magnesium Kingdom took out the weapon hidden on his body and placed it on the table. This weapon was brought to Earth by Thor, a high-tech product from other planets in the universe. Black Widow frowned. I don't believe him. I don't believe him either. Whether he is sincere or not, let this news out first and let me know about it. Black Widow instantly understood the intention of the captain of the Magnesium country. Since Zheng Bin has agreed to cooperate with the Avengers, he will not deny this news. When Mutant knows about this, the first thing to do is to cut off the possibility of their cooperation with Peaky. People like Zheng Bin, even if they are not in their own camp, must not be allowed to go to the enemy's camp. It would be even better if Mutant reacted violently after knowing it, fighting directly with Zheng Bin. No matter who wins or loses, the Avengers will always benefit. Black Widow said to Captain America, I will arrange this matter later. The Power Man was just a folk hero before and had never had contact with the official, so he had no idea about Takeshi Sakamoto's past deeds. He understood the deep meaning between the two people's words and felt very puzzled. Is this Zheng Bin really that strong? So strong that you need to plot like this? Captain America looked at Wonder Man seriously. He is the key to the victory or defeat of this war. Too many things have happened recently, and Peter Parker is restless even in his sleep, frowning all the time. Peter Parker waved his arms in the air and woke up from a nightmare. As soon as he opened his eyes, he saw Zheng Bin sitting next to him. He calmed down and turned his head to say to Zheng Bin with a smile, Brother, I am really happy to see you. Me too. Zheng Bin pointed to his abdomen. How is your wound now? Peter Parker smiled nonchalantly. Don't worry. This kind of wound will recover quickly even if you ignore it. That's good. If you are not seriously injured, let's talk about business first. Tell me all the information you have found now. Also, who hurt you so badly? Zheng Bin got straight to the point. He wanted to solve the matter as soon as possible and return the world to normal. He used to think that the superheroes of SHIELD and the X-Men were all mentally ill. They fought and sacrificed for so-called love and justice every day. And they also liked to come and disturb his life. Until yesterday, he saw the eyes of the captain of the Magnesium Kingdom. He knew that these eyes were full of warmth and hope before, but now there was only thick and indissoluble darkness. Now he actually missed the way these people used to be. Before they make more unforgivable mistakes, they must be restored to normal as soon as possible. Otherwise, when they return to normal, the guilt alone will drive them to death. Professor X was killed by Cyclops, and his body was stolen by HYDRA. The current situation should be caused by HYDRA. Cyclops. Zheng Bin saw the way Mutant acted now and guessed that Professor X must have met with an accident. But why was it Cyclops? Humans on Earth, I am Jean Grey. The sound of the radio from the street interrupted Peter Parker's words. Listen, this is our last warning to you. In the past week, we have defeated countless armed forces trying to retake the new mutant capital. You ignored what I said, and such an attack has completely angered us. I say again, Manhattan is ours. From now on, where we will occupy and how many people will die depends on whether you listen to me carefully. The mutant kingdom has been established. We will never let you decide our fate again. We will never 0.9 kowtow to you bastards again, and patiently look forward to peaceful coexistence. Zheng Bin and Peter Parker looked at each other, and they thought at the same time, this is a declaration of war. The Magnesium government will never allow this mutant kingdom to exist. The Avengers will not let them develop. It seems that the war between Mutant and the Avengers is imminent. Before Zheng Bin sorted out his thoughts, the voice of the system sounded in his mind again. Host, Tong Yao was killed and returned to the Heroic Spirit Library. It can only be used after the freezing period ends, and the freezing period is 180 days. How is it possible? Zheng Bin had fought with the captain of Magnesium. The captain of Magnesium is not bad, but he is still far behind the Heroic Spirit. How could Tong Yao be killed by him? Did Blacken's captain of Magnesium increase in strength, or did he use some means? Zheng Bin's face was very ugly. Peter Parker saw it and thought he was worried about Mutant. But he didn't know how to comfort Zheng Bin because he was also worried. Thinking of what he found when he sneaked into Manhattan last night, Peter Parker looked very uneasy. Yesterday I found something with Mutant, a gene bomb. Zheng Bin knew what Mutant wanted to do as soon as he heard it. Are you targeting ordinary humans without the X gene in their bodies? Yes. 24-inch did you get injured because you want to check this? Yes. Peter Parker said anxiously. We must stop Mutant. Zheng Bin definitely knew that he had to stop Mutant. But what would happen after stopping it? If they stop it once, they will have a second and third time. Killing all the mutants in Manhattan is the only way to solve the problem once and for all. But do we really have to do it? And Tong Yao is now frozen. Zheng Bin doesn't know what she has experienced with the captain of the Magnesium country. What method should be used to make everyone return to normal? Just as Zheng Bin was thinking, his cell phone suddenly rang. Hello, Captain? Peter Parker, who was sitting next to him, widened his eyes and looked at Zheng Bin in disbelief after hearing Zheng Bin's name. Okay, I'll go there now. As soon as Zheng Bin hung up the phone, Peter Parker couldn't wait to ask, was that man the captain of the Magnesium Kingdom just now? Yes. Oh my God. Peter Parker shouted. Even if Mutant did something wrong, you shouldn't join the Avengers. They are crazy. Steve Rogers has now become a radical peace defender. He said that he would kill all those who might threaten the Earth. If they are carrying criminal genes or have potential criminal potential, they must be killed. Even babies are not spared. And he used a machine to shrink those who oppose him and trapped them in a subatomic ant farm. Fortunately, I ran fast. Peter Parker regained his chatterbox nature and spoke as fast as a machine gun. They are now just affected by Professor X's brain. I will contact them first to see if I can find a way to recover. Peter Parker was very worried. They are completely different from before. You must be careful. Okay, you too. After saying goodbye to Peter Parker, Zheng Bin came to the current base of the Avengers. As soon as he walked in, everyone in the room turned their heads and stared at him. In addition to a few familiar faces he had dealt with, there were also some superheroes he had never seen before. Among so many people, he saw the girl in tights at first sight, Gwen. Gwen Stacy looked up in surprise. Ben, why are you here? I should ask you this question. When Zheng Bin approached Gwen Stacy, he could feel that her aura was completely different from before. Gwen blinked at Zheng Bin, jumped up, and easily jumped to the height of the ceiling. Then her feet stuck to the ceiling, and she hung upside down. Her line of sight was exactly parallel to Zheng Bin's line of sight. She looked into Zheng Bin's eyes and showed a sweet smile, reaching out and touching his cheek. Look, I also have special abilities now, and you and I are from the same world. Before Zheng Bin could say anything, The god of power standing beside him made a dissatisfied voice first. "We are here to discuss business, not to watch you two lovers fall in love." Gwen Stacy's smile disappeared. Her feet left the ceiling. She somersaulted in midair and landed on the ground gracefully. "If you don't want to watch, you can leave first. Anyway, with your ability, it won't be of much help here." "Ha! Little girl, you think you are so powerful just because you can spray some cobweb?" The Wonder Man was angered by Gwen Stacy's sarcasm. He deliberately showed off his muscles. And in contrast, Lou and Stacy's figure looked particularly petite. When the captain of the Magnesium Country walked in, he saw the two men at loggerheads and shouted, "Stop!" Hearing Captain America's voice, both of them stopped. Captain America looked at them gloomily. Gwen Stacy and Wonder Man felt the pressure from Captain America and stopped talking. "Captain, don't be so serious. Don't scare the little girl." A casual male voice appeared behind Captain America, and everyone looked over. Iron Man was wearing sunglasses and walked in gracefully. He found that everyone was looking at him, and he enjoyed the feeling of being noticed and smiled. "Hi." Zheng looked at Iron Man, and this showy look didn't seem to make much difference. But Emma had heard about his deeds in San Francisco. Zheng knew that the person in front of him had lost his warm heart. Iron Man noticed Zheng in the crowd, just glanced at him lightly, and then looked away. Captain America said, "I asked you to come here today to introduce you to a new partner. I believe everyone has noticed that it is Zheng Bin, the chairman of Shin Industry." Everyone's eyes fell on Zheng Bin, and many people looked at him with suspicion. Power Man spoke again. "Who doesn't know that the security department of Shin Industry is full of mutants? He is not a spy sent by mutant, right?" Zheng just glanced at him and didn't say anything. He disdained to answer such idiotic words. Power Man felt Zheng Bin's contempt for him, and his face turned red, and he wanted to say something. Captain America interrupted him impatiently. "You don't need to worry about this kind of thing. Okay, Stark and Zheng Bin stay, and the rest of you can do your own things." After hearing this, Power Man glared at Zheng Bin angrily and left with the others. Although he was very dissatisfied, he did not dare to disobey Captain America's orders. In fact, Power Man's strength should be not far from Captain America's. But after the change of his personality, Captain America's temperament was completely different. Let the Wonder Man be afraid of him. "Captain, do you know that I am very busy? Why did you ask me to come back from San Francisco?" After the scene was cleared, Tony Stark asked, "Of course it's about Mutant. We found out through the satellite we bought from you that Mutant is preparing something very dangerous, genetic bomb." Zheng Bin and Tony Stark were very calm after hearing this, and they were not surprised at all. Zheng Bin knew about this from Peter Parker before, and he was mentally prepared. And Tony Stark has many ways to get information, and he knew about this a long time ago. Captain America saw the reactions of the two, raised his eyebrows, and continued, "You two are geniuses. I kept you here to see if you have any countermeasures." Tony Stark said coldly, "I have been busy with extremists recently, and I don't have time to deal with these boring things. You leave it to Mr. Zheng." Captain America frowned when he heard the word extremists. In his opinion, extremist is no less harmful to the Earth than mutant. It's just that the war with mutant is imminent now, and he still needs Tony Stark's help. So he can't let things get out of hand for now. When things are over, the next target will be Tony Stark and his extremists. Leave it to me then. Zheng Bin took on the task. But I have to contact Mutant first before I can come up with a solution. Captain America looked at Zheng Bin suspiciously and finally agreed. "Okay, but you have to let Natasha Romanoff go with you." "No problem. It seems that the matter has been resolved, so I'll go back to San Francisco," Tony Stark said, and summoned his iron electric gauge. Zheng Bin found that Tony Stark's armor had changed color. The previous armor was red and gold, and it looked full of enthusiasm. And Jeanne's current armor is all white, which seems to be flawless at first glance, but it makes people feel cold for no reason. The change in armor is the same as the feeling Tony Stark gave before and after his personality change. Tony Stark often smiles now, but his smile has lost its humanity, only coldness. "Wait!" Captain America stopped Tony Stark. "The war between us and mutant could break out at any time. You should wait in New York for the next few days. Okay. Tony Stark obediently removed his armor and showed a perfect smile. Who made me one of the Avengers, a hero of this world? Did you go to the universe before? Black Widow, who was walking beside Zheng, asked. Yes. Zheng was not surprised that Black Widow knew about this. He never hid his whereabouts. The U.S. government must have noticed that he came back from the universe. Is the universe fun? Not bad. Zheng asked casually, By the way, where is Nick Fury? I don't think I have seen him since I came back. He is in a safe place now. Zheng saw Black Widow's indifferent expression and stopped asking. Black Widow worked under Nick Fury for such a long time and had a deep relationship with him. But after being affected, even his feelings should have been affected. Talking about Nick Fury is like talking about an unrelated person. Zheng took Black Widow to the parking lot. His limited black sports car was very conspicuous in the parking lot. Black Widow sighed after seeing it. Your aesthetics in this aspect are really similar to Stark. Zheng looked puzzled. A beautiful woman with a luxurious car is loved by all men in the world. It is not Tony Stark's privilege. Why drag him out? Walking to the side of the sports car, Black Widow saw a girl with long black hair sitting in the passenger seat. Black Widow raised his eyebrows and looked at Zheng. Who is this? My new secretary, Zheng. After Xuanzang Sanzang got out of the car, he put his hands together and saluted Black Widow. Black Widow knew that the girl in front of him was performing a Buddhist salute to her, but the girl's clothes were very revealing, and the salute looked out of place. But it was very strange that Black Widow could see a trace of holy light from her wearing such clothes. She nodded and greeted Sanzang. Hello? Sanzang, how is it? Xuanzang Sanzang nodded to Zheng. It should be okay. Let's do it. Black Widow heard the threat from the two people's incomprehensible conversation and quickly pulled out the pistol hanging on the outside of her thigh. However, Xuanzang Sanzang's movements were faster. She put her hands together and said, Sanzang's teachings. After the skill was released, huge amount of light shone on Black Widow and Xuanzang Sanzang. After the light faded, Black Widow stood there with a blank face. Zheng asked, Is it done? Xuanzang Sanzang looked at Black Widow carefully. Her previous chaotic state has been resolved by me, and she should be back to normal. Black Widow seemed to wake up suddenly from a dream, and her eyes regained their spirit. She looked at Zheng in shock. Oh my God! What happened to me before? Zheng was relieved. It seemed to be recovered. After Tong Yao returned to the heroic spirit card, Zheng looked at all the cards in his hand. Among many casters, Zheng felt that only Xuanzang Sanzang's skill could remove the negative mental state. So he summoned her out. However, this skill can only be used on one's own people. Fortunately, Zheng had accepted Captain America's invitation and joined the Avengers. He originally planned to take Gwen Stacy away today to try whether Xuanzang Sanzang's skill is useful, who knew that Captain America asked Black Widow to follow him. This is also good. A sober Black Widow can bring him greater help. Zheng stood aside to give Black Widow some time to sober up. Black Widow sorted out what happened recently and felt very upset. She looked at Zheng with a look of help. Let's talk about it after we go to Manhattan. The panicked Black Widow felt much more at ease when she saw Zheng's calm appearance. Okay, I just blocked the camera in the parking lot and the signal of the listening device on you. I will unblock it after leaving the parking lot. You have to continue to act as before and don't let Captain America get suspicious. Got it. Acting is Black Widow's forte, and she has used it to deceive countless mission targets. It shouldn't be difficult to deceive Captain America. As soon as the car drove out of the parking lot, Natasha Romanoff's communicator rang. Zheng and Natasha Romanoff looked at each other, nodded, and she picked up the communicator. Hello, Captain? Yes, I'm on the way now. Oh, really? I'm not too sure. Zheng, who was sitting nearby, heard that Captain America was probably asking Black Widow about the failures of the listening device. Captain America is now a dictator who wants to control everything. He definitely monitored the entire process of Zheng Bin and Natasha Romanoff going to the mutant base. I never thought that Captain America, who always pursues human rights, would one day install listening devices on others. Black Widow said a few words and sent Captain America away. The two of them came to the border of Manhattan without saying a word. A mutant raised his hand to Zheng Bin and stopped his car. The mutant looked at the X-gene detector in his hand and found that the two people in the car were not mutants and shouted loudly, "No one is allowed to enter if you are not a mutant. You still have a chance to leave. If you don't leave in 10 seconds, I will attack you." Zheng Bin and Black Widow got off the car at the same time. "We are representatives sent by the Avengers. My name is Zheng Bin. I hope to meet Jean Grey." Avengers? Upon hearing these words, Mutant immediately took a defensive posture and turned on the intercom hanging on his ear. Two people came here claiming to be representatives of the Avengers. One of them is called Zheng Bin. They want to meet the leader? Okay. After Mutant hung up the intercom, he looked at Zheng Bin and the others with a wary look. "You wait here. The leader is not here today. The person in charge will be here soon." Soon, the person in charge mentioned by Mutant appeared. This person was an old acquaintance of Wu, Cyclops. Zheng Bin was a little surprised when he saw Cyclops. He heard from Peter Parker that Professor X was killed by Cyclops. Professor X's position in Mutant is very important. He originally thought that Cyclops must have been killed or imprisoned. Unexpectedly, Cyclops can now be a person in charge in the country of Mutant. Besides, he can make decisions on behalf of Jean Grey, the leader, so he seems to have a lot of power. And after not seeing him for a while, Cyclops seems to be more calm than before. In the past, every time he saw Cyclops, he would look at him as if he were the murderer of his father. Later, after Jean Grey died, he never saw Cyclops again. When he saw Cyclops this time, his attitude became very calm, and he had no malice at all. Is this because his personality has changed, or has something happened? Follow me. Cyclops led Zheng Bin and Black Widow to the center of Manhattan. They occupied a building as their office. After they entered, many people stopped their work and greeted Cyclops. Zheng Bin saw a familiar figure from the corner of his eye. He recognized her with her shining blonde hair and graceful figure at a glance. Emma Frost. At the moment, Emma Frost, who was not far away, also saw Zheng Bin and froze in place. Zheng Bin had asked Emma to hide before, and she had clearly agreed, but who knew that she would appear in a mutant's base in the blink of an eye? Zheng Bin suppressed his dissatisfaction, glanced at Emma Frost expressionlessly, and left with Cyclops. "Tell me, what is the purpose of your visit today?" Black Widow saw Zheng Bin didn't speak, so he had to answer Cyclops' question. "We came here today to solve the problem peacefully with Mutant." Peaceful solution? What is the solution? You evacuate Manhattan and dissolve the Mutant Kingdom. Sign a peace agreement with the Magnesium government, and we promise not to start a war against you. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. After listening, Cyclops laughed sarcastically. "Do you think it's possible? Promise not to start a war against us? I think you are afraid. Seeing the powerful strength of our mutant, you realize your own insignificance. The weak should act like the weak. If you want to coexist peacefully, give us Manhattan and recognize the Mutant Kingdom." Black Widow frowned. "The Magnesium Kingdom will never recognize you. It seems that we can't reach an agreement." Zero. Cyclops' attitude was very tough, and he had no intention of negotiating. Black Widow felt that there was no point in them staying any longer, so he stood up. "In that case, we'll leave first. Do you think the Mutant Kingdom is a place where you can come and go as you please?" Cyclops pressed a button on the table, and a group of mutants immediately rushed in from the door. Black Widow's face turned ugly. It seems that Mutant wants to tear their faces off today. Maybe he will use her and Zheng Bin as an excuse to start a war? Black Widow looked at Zheng Bin beside her anxiously. "If you want to break through the attacks of so many mutants, you can only rely on Zheng Bin now." Zheng Bin didn't say a word from beginning to end, and until now, he was still sitting calmly on the chair. He looked at Cyclops and asked, "What if I must leave?" "Qin Guang." Cyclops was stunned for a moment when he heard Zheng Bin's last name, and then smiled. the group of mutants who were just called and were very calm after hearing Zheng Bin's name, as if they had known about this for a long time. Only the black woman, standing aside, showed a surprised expression. She was a little overwhelmed. Jeanne? Could it be Jean Grey? Cyclops? No. It should be Jean Grey who waved his hand, and the mutant who rushed in 160 just now left immediately. There were only 3 of them left in the room again. Zheng Bin's body was strengthened and had the same sensing ability as the heroic spirit. And intuition is also a kind of sensing ability. Although the Cyclops controlled by Jean Grey was perfect in both tone of voice and facial expressions and movements. But Zheng Bin just felt something was wrong. He was not 100% sure that Cyclops was actually Jean Grey. He just lied just now, who knew that the other party would admit it directly. Thinking about the attitude of the group of mutants just now, Zheng Bin guessed that this should be the punishment for Cyclops killing Professor X. If he guessed correctly, Cyclops' body was no longer controlled by him, but by Jean Grey. Jean Grey knew that Zheng Bin had always been very powerful and had many tricks. She didn't ask him how he saw through it, and smiled and said, "Mr. Zheng is really amazing." As soon as she finished speaking, the smile on her face disappeared immediately, and she looked at Zheng-Chi with cold eyes. "But it's a pity that you are on the wrong side." Jean Grey's attitude toward Zheng Bin is completely different from before she died. Maybe she still has a little attachment to Zheng Bin now, but she has been reborn with the help of Phoenix Force. This time, she can completely suppress the negative impact of Phoenix Force on her. When she was possessed by Phoenix Force the first time, she was completely controlled. Phoenix Force infinitely magnified her negative emotions, making her unable to control her desires and greed. She was like Beast, completely without reason, acting only on instinct, and doing many things that she couldn't understand now. This time, she was completely awake, and she suppressed Phoenix Force, and she was much stronger than before in both spirit and strength. Now, when facing Zheng Bin, she can be very rational. Zheng Bin naturally noticed the changes in Jean Grey. He had heard of Phoenix Force, but didn't know much about it. He just felt that Jean Grey now looked more like a normal person and could communicate normally. "I don't know if I'm standing in the wrong place yet." Zheng Bin would not be scared by Jean Grey's moodiness, and said with a smile, "As for you, if the professor knew what the door did, he would be very disappointed." When Jean Grey heard Zheng Bin mention Professor X, he said, unmoved, "The professor's idea is too naive. Despicable humans will never dare to face our strength. You will only persecute us constantly because of fear until the extinction of the mutant race. I found that after giving up the hope of peaceful coexistence, mutants will live better. This world also needs a new master." Jean Grey put her hand on the special glasses. Black Widow and Zheng Bin saw her action and knew that Jean Grey was going to use Cyclops' body to attack now. 2 strong lasers shot out from Cyclops' eyes and shot at Zheng Bin. Zheng Bin's right hand condensed into a big sword to block the laser. He pulled Black Widow, who was standing beside him, to his side and hugged her waist. Then he used his body to break the floor-to-ceiling glass window behind him with the impact of the laser and jumped directly from the high-rise. Zheng Bin hugged Black Widow and fell rapidly in midair. The speed of descent was too fast, and the wind blew Black Widow so hard that she couldn't open her eyes. She could only close her eyes and hug Zheng Bin tightly. Zheng Bin snapped his fingers, and they immediately stopped descending and floated in midair. Black Widow felt a change and opened her eyes, and found that she and Zheng Bin were now standing steadily in midair. She felt like there was something holding her up under her feet. This was the wind summoned by Zheng Bin using magic. As soon as he returned to Earth, he began to build the magic 24 base on the Earth's veins. Merlin's Avalon is a completely detached existence, a fictional legendary world, in which Zheng Bin can find the rules and build his own magic base. Not to mention the Earth where he grew up, it is easy for him to build a magic base here. One magic base after another is built on the Earth's veins, and he is the only magician in this world. So he doesn't need to worry about others occupying his magic base and reducing the power of his magic, because it is the magic base built by Zheng Bin himself. He only needs a simple action to complete the chanting when using most of the magic. Just like before, he snapped his fingers and summoned the wind. This invisible wind sent Zheng Bin and Black Widow out of Manhattan, and then slowly put them on the ground. It seems that Mutant is unlikely to accept our suggestion. I will go back and report to the captain now. Because he had a monitor on him, Black Widow didn't dare to say much, but just winked at Zheng Bin. Zheng Bin nodded, indicating that he understood what she meant. Peter Parker was seriously injured this time, so he spent the whole day recuperating at Zheng Bin's house. When he heard him coming back, he immediately went to meet him. Peter Parker couldn't wait to ask, "Ben, how was your day?" "I'm not sure. I have to ask her point 11. She? Who is she?" Woo-ah. Peter Parker felt very strange when he heard Zheng Bin's words at first, and then he saw a girl appear next to Zheng Bin and was scared. When he saw the girl's appearance clearly, his face turned red in an instant. The girl was very beautiful, wearing a set of revealing clothes on her hot body. Peter Parker felt that he had nowhere to put his eyes, and he looked embarrassed to peek. "Have you confirmed it?" After Zheng Bin and Black Widow left Manhattan, he assigned a task to Xuanzang Sanzang. Let her sneak into the base of Mutant to see if the core members of the X-Men are now in a state of confusion like Black Widow before. "Master, it has been confirmed. Except for the man with glasses, everyone else is in a state of confusion now." "The man with glasses? Cyclops? This man's body and soul are not the same person now. So can you confirm this?" Xuanzang Sanzang. "Yes, his body and soul are not in any negative state." Zheng Bin frowned, which means that Jean Grey's current opposition to ordinary humans is not affected, but her choice in a sober state? Peter Parker was confused and a little anxious. "Ben, what's going on now?" "Let me introduce you. This is Xuanzang Sanzang." Xuanzang Sanzang smiled and saluted Peter Parker. Peter Parker blushed again when he came into contact with Sanzang's smile. "Hello." Her ability can make 840 affected superheroes become normal. "Then let this Miss Sanzang help them recover quickly." "It's just," Zheng Bin said with some distress, "her ability can only be used on her own side. I have joined the Avengers camp now, and she can only help the Avengers return to normal. There is no solution to the mutant problem for the time being. Mutants are now full of malice towards humans. Even if the superheroes return to their original personalities, they will not tolerate them. If Zheng Bin cannot restore both sides to normal, then the war between ordinary people and mutants will never stop." Peter Parker also felt a headache after listening to Zheng Bin's explanation. Suddenly, Zheng Bin found someone approaching the house and looked in the direction of the door. After a while, the door of his house slowly opened. Black Widow and Magneto, wearing a helmet and a cloak, walked in together. This combination is very novel. Zheng Bin was a little stunned when he saw the two standing together. "Why did you come here together?" Magneto answered first. "I heard that you went to Manhattan today, so I wanted to come here to find out about the situation. I just ran into this lady at the door, so we came in together." Magneto said it lightly, but Zheng Bin could see from the scars on Black Widow's face that the scene of the two people's just meeting was definitely not as friendly as Magneto said. Earlier today, he received a hint from Black Widow and knew that the other party would come to him, so he didn't feel strange to see Black Widow now. On the contrary, Magneto's appearance in his house made him a little puzzled. Zheng Bin looked at Magneto, waiting for his explanation. "I'm here for mutants' business. You must stop the war between mutant and ordinary people. If there is anything I need, I will do my best to help you." The three people present all looked at Magneto strangely when they heard his words. "No way. Is this Magneto controlled by someone?" Everyone knows that he is the most disgusted with ordinary people among the mutants. He should be very happy to see the current situation. Zheng Bin used his eyes to signal Xuanzang Sanzang, who was standing beside him. Xuanzang Sanzang nodded and looked at Magneto. After a few seconds, he nodded to Zheng Bin. Sure enough, Magneto is now in a state of chaos. This time, it is not only the originally righteous superheroes who are affected, but also some villains. You should know that Magneto has provoked wars between mutant and ordinary humans many times before, and has also established an organization to fight against ordinary humans. Zheng Bin also felt strange when he was in Manhattan. Why couldn't he see Magneto? In theory, with Magneto in the position of the mutant. This war should be led by him, even if he gave up the position of leader because of fear of Jean Grey's Phoenix Force. Magneto should not be so obscure. After all, Magneto has been shining on the stage of hatred for ordinary humans for so many years. No one can do better than him. So it's because of this reason. Zheng suddenly looked forward to it. When Magneto recovers, he will find that he has missed such a good opportunity. He will regret it. Zheng said to the two people who looked at Magneto with suspicion, "Don't worry, he is on our side." Peter Parker and Black Widow both believed in Zheng ability, and they all put aside their doubts when they heard him say that. Zheng repeated what he had just said to Peter Parker, to Black Widow, and Magneto. Everyone fell into deep thought. It was impossible for Zheng to join Mutant, not to mention his past with Jean Grey. He had cooperated with the Avengers many times before to complete the system's tasks. Even if Zheng thought that he did not belong to any force, Mutant would still regard him as a member of the Avengers. No one would believe his surrender. Magneto said to Zheng, "Although Jean Grey and I had a falling out at the beginning, I believe that as long as I go back, they will definitely accept me." He pointed to his helmet and said, "And I have this. Jean Grey can't see into my heart." Magneto joining the mutant camp is at most an extra spy. If you want to activate Zheng's skills, you must be, wait. Zheng suddenly remembered the note he had read from Merlin. It seemed that the command spells could be transferred. System. Can the heroic spirits, for money summoned from the heroic spirit library, be transferred to command spells? Host, please wait. This should be the first time the system has encountered such a problem. It ran to Chaldea and came back after a long time. Host, it is possible. However, after the heroic spirit is summoned, it has occupied the host summoning quota. Even if the command spell is transferred, the host cannot summon other heroic spirits. Then how do I recover the heroic spirit? After the command spell is used, the heroic spirit will automatically return. Okay. Zheng looked at the three people who were in distress and said, "I have a way."
Hello, everyone. As we wrap up this video, I want to share a quick note. I have a Patreon account. If you'd like to support me and enjoy on-demand audiobooks, you can become a Patreon member. Alternatively, you can check out my Google Drive link, which has 500+ novel audiobooks available through my Ko-fi or Patreon shop. I appreciate your support.